United Television suni ade mama ya mamu nyina ache mamu nyina kwaba eba critical issue dwumadi so enne eye February date so edumienu mfimpinu ene aduonu mienu ya mamu ache ya mamu kwaba yi na ye de aseda ma this way chocolate drink ene ne coffee drink this way busu ekwo ne de bia abeka ho ene this way 1 2 3 ena fe this way yellow sisi eno so abeka busu ekwo no ho anokure nie se wo ka hwa ho say yes azipa ofie ampa specialize nsuo nso ejana na so pintin nso kronje de woto mu de osahye mu nyina no ya so de nyina so pepepe na special drink no so eno so flavors ne makomako enso enti obi abenya ne so ene ne de ena no pe ye hye ye bedi nkomo ensema hu hia se etubi gbobo hu na ye fa ho adwene na ye to adwene no eno ho nsam ene be kan sanse nsam bi wo ho a eye critical ebi nso hye ye critical santi ye selected the critical ones no ye about critical issues so na yatumi a discussion no critically said ye be ye no pepe nti na no pay ensam no doso aye bedi hu enkomo pa na kakra mekan san na ya hyase ne se mekoso aka oman no eye me ne wo Ghana ye dia oman Ghana no eye me ene wo ye dia si yankasa anhyekyere ye man a ahoho be kyekyere maye na so mo kyekyere nso a wo mo kyekyere ne sede ye pɛ no na mo sede o mo pɛ no me se oman no eye me ene wo ye dia enti se yen aye Ghanafo Ghana ma yan kyekyere ye man no a ye ba ma ahoho kyekyere maye na ahoho nso kyekyere nso a wo mo kyekyere de sede yen ye pɛ no na mo sede o mo pɛ no sa no be kyekyere no enti be wi ase no na adehye akwakoye nkoa na enkoa mum ababe ya adehye asemo amekan sa wo hwe na sa wuti a menko adwene mu ye na do ho sokɔ na puwisa na adwene ho kwa akire ye pa sɛ aso asemasi asemo okan ababi wo mu na se yamfa anya adwuma a mfie be du adan ni mu yi nyina ho ebe hu de besi be maachi monka me na mfa seda ema koja famafo o madam ena wo mo de toothpaste makomako miensan aba apose soronko obi age atum so retwetwe osi a ama osi achi na mo ye den ama osi afimfim na ekɔ ama osi ye fitaa ama onum so ye hwam ne bo nso da fam pa eno achi wo kojak p mouth bath eno ye nsuo ye de gina ye num enti wo se ase konkode na bi oho bia ne germs and bacteria bi wo num bia no eno be horo ama nakɔ ama hotumi ahenhan wo ena for the almighty pro code pepunu na kire wa bo mode so sabetumi aka bi isan se ebeboa amapapunu no akoprakopɛ kata na chew uti na yawo ya eno ane pro code de edi ho dance ese eye papa bomode ya na kɔ drugstore pharmacy shop and supermarket bi akɔ a wonsa ebeka kojafo niema papa yi bi afei pharma transfer nso e de Lumitrust suspension aba eno eye ntontom ewie ya yare ye nya friend malaria no na duro na Lumitrust suspension ne nkwada de ye de flavors bi na afrafra se na be nkwada onum onum de yi enti ye de strawberry na fe ye de banana flavor aye enti de gu nanum agona na wa mene e bo akwada no ban afin tuntum yare ye friend malaria ho malaria kan wasemu no se akwada ni nya no onum a e be sa na yare na fe asambo no ho ban afri malaria no ho sanso na Lumitrust Fort inso de ne ye nkwada de na fe press de ne sa de ta ka no eno ye mpanyifo no ye so ye de ensonson ha ni papa ensonson hye wo ye mu a untumi fa wani ehu etum ma nyama bebre sisi obi wana nsansa bia begu no obi wana no ho tan ne hene obi o untumi nidi obi akota akwada bu so akwada ne so develop papa ayese wato ape akwada ne nkonanim kyese nyama hye da nkoyie kura de nyina ye nsonson agu ye mu no na etete wo saa enti nuanu ahodo ese ne padua ni nya no wudidi gu wa na wa be fa de kɔ no mo ye kese o yam na wo fon mesrew adura mekanfo de ma ya busuan kyɛmfa sunsunuro ɛyɛ trazo 400 ɛno so pharma transfer ɛne ade aba okɔ pharmacy shop bia pharma transfer no papa yi nsa betumi aka bi so pɛdu do atu nso a betumi from 0561 088 663 0561 088 663 and afi 0561 088 666 nyuma koi ɛna critical issue dwumadie wo mo afa ho kan nyina nene se yebetena se nkomo ebedie no eye nkomo ho hia yie papa pesan se Baby o man na duro no esese atumi nya kokoduro eka ne se de sika no no ensese ye ese ye korakora bibia so esese ye sekere yese ne atumi sisu de pen se ade wei eye ade wei enye esan se yanka atoji yan a se ye kan so a ebeboa yan a ete na bedwafo ba komo ebedi ene yebakwa amanyosem mu person se CDD4 ayenhwemu bi wo mu kire se amanyosem a ye o manga na mu ha no sika e data parties awodo na chi no enye genuine money sika ne hyeda nye sika obi asam na nim fufura bra ye adwuma no de bi na momo no efiri he enu ti ensem bebre ewo amanyosem a ye o manga na no achi enti CDD de adwinkyere bi aba se eho behia pa se oban na nkasa parties awodo no ye mo musika ade ye adwuma na so oman ye usika betumi de aya na eye question kase ese bisa ne di hu nkomo yie papa isa se wo be ne pa bonfo de sika wura mu no wo mo na be kire party ne ba ban mu na ese so mo ye ebe wiase no de ye be ye no emwa ye se oman na mo na be boa de ode ne sika be boa yen am betumi di nya dibre no na se tumi di nkudim no enti eye very critical issue a ese se discuss no critically afei ye levy hu samsami how far so far ye levy adane messiah or ye game changer ye levy ba ye betwa contractor for ka ye levy ba isika sem begina ye levy ba free senior high school be adwuma ye levy ba we be we eti ye levy no kwa ne okwa betuma fa so de akekere man no ana so emwa yen se yeso agitum se da bi ebra so se yakase boy aboso mu ne ye yere ye ho se ye be kekere ye man wo bra ya je to na ye nkwa bonten enko stress sika se de na bribia no ana eyemre ni nu emre na nu ni ana se ye nya ready ye nuru ho eye very critical issue person so man da ache wasam nya eka yi levi ye hu cake bi kura pie sam hu yi aha ade ne mai yi levi hu cake pie ebinu se pani ya odi the birthday ye no nyafo chie mensa bonso na motu ye no eni wusam aye so yi ganafo hu ganafo ahi aye se de o hwehwe ganafo aye se asam na ye enibiri sam a ye di hu komo no ono afa ne se eye agro bi na ye di so saa nete eye sama ye bedi hu komo ye pa sanse eye asemhia afei asamba ko e beka wasam eye nsantwerefo de da obodwumaku ni nim so man Ghana ebibi abesen ko no who dare you so betumi asore akaseti opani bia keke eye criminal libel law na emra e wo ho asese wo ye santwere di da oboni na ko ka asem na so nipa na nyi ho straight prison sometime ye de wakokotum kakra criminal libel law no ye yifiri ho wo bra mampeni na nado dan kwakufu ado oye attorney general internet mi aka say ye ka fa hodie ene kire wadwena me kire madwene a obetumi aka say freedom of speech no mampeni na nado di makote ni ye passe de be ya sa criminal libel law no ye be ye free ho but what do we see today be na otwe boso be ba kompentem ni centrofo 9 and a police fa kofa wo no okwan ye fa so de chi wo no kora no is that the right procedure si ya chi wo so a ye do fi police station we near the walkway is that how to go about it and now so sense centrofo so enya ho kwana se te afide so na se yakasa yes sama ye ka no aso sare se ye kasa sense centrofo ana ne da obofo ana ayemre betumi akasa cultural silence a abribi abese koda ewo ho no ye de eba na ana so se sane ye se ye kono ana mra na e criminal libel law na ye yidi free ho no ye san de ba se de bi no pa kire no indirectly ana asem a very critical issue pa enti se atwa ho na se koba sansema hodo yi na bedwafo baba ama ya tenase na ya pu awisa na adwendwene ho tenase na fa adwenkyere no susu ya fa Facebook wo bra nso beje bre na kinka ni nyina e de amasanse wadwenkyere e de madwenkyere e na bedwafo adwenkyere ne kaboma ebebo man Ghana ama na tumi akora no midin e de Agya Kwabena ye twa ho aba ye ba critical issue ye beto aso Awia ya kwaya ya ba bra so obejafo akra do nti ya de be hyehyɛ so anesa nansa na no na enra mini ababi na ni birthday na pele o makola na me ma good morning me ma happy belated birthday enra na wanyamfie bi ya de yetumi fan so enti na pele baby a obi a no me mo ache ma wo happy belated birthday kwantenten ene ahoden ahye ne ma na me bisade ma wo enne anopay and fair no achi nso adwumayefo si wo na adwumayefo mo Serenity Beach Resort a ewo Sakumo no ma mo nyina good morning me gidi se bibia ekoso boko ewo bebia mo wo no ntina eno that is that na enanopay yenkoma a yebedie ne yenkoma ehuhia yie pa se me di kanka no enti abedwafo a wo mo do mo mre afam yen enanopay no wo mo ayekrado ewa ha Diote mi benkum so pe diote mi benkum so pe yi Dr. Abdul Jalilu Ateku ha mi se menya edi say Ateku aha che Dr. Abdul Jalilu Ateku wono oye lecturer Department of Political Science University of Ghana nti e kama nyosem mu nkyerɛkyerɛ dia wa ben pa ena me nifa so Jeffrey Kabute Okansi ono no executive director de Revenue Mobilization Mobilization Africa enti ye ka wo mu a etube boaboa gege to ne ayi a wa ben brutal ti ono so ewa ha ene obeboa me etumi ahwe bi esi enye sikafi ense e ma nanko ena fe de otimi sabenkum atiro so akirikyiri ono so ya sompa ono fidi ankwanta dua ankwanta ma hene de hye kronkron pa no na oye oloye ni ena ono so ye ka skasemu tutuye ne ehun kyerɛkyerɛ a waben to oye financial expert nti ene me wo financial expert for mienu ba ko ye to ba ko so ye ba ko ayi ena me wo de ono so aben ewo amanyosam ne kyerɛkyerɛ mu nti so hwe nsɛm wo de bɛka wansɛm nyina no a mpanyimfo yi akwadere mu wom do agye nkyere bɛba na so do dia beso so ewia na aye complete na ewie no sɛ de sɛ esi ɛyɛ no abujafo makɔ aba
yeja
yale lu bibia bako
nyame adome ho ye
good ye shiada
amen
ye shia na no sɛ ne ye be shia ka ai sɛ bibia bako
nyame adom
Jeffrey bibia bako
ne bia me hwɛ Jacob na mani agye nsɛmsɛ no na obisa na eto de bia ududu mpempon so bi obo nsankofo dwane ene me stress me de min dwane
ugina bibia ugina na
meka no kre no
no
enya be ba so ha no so bia ka ho
no wata de efe
me da se
we na wapa amede anya keto akakra
sa
the the same color same design
na abo so fe
no man pen mi no so pen mi no amede
no de abo se me ko je to nje se ayo me chiro
Zomba
Agya
bibia wako no pen good yenye shia yampa
remember fisher pa na macha minuano Agya ni say na ye bedi nkomo pa
ye bedi nkomo
ye say nkomo pa ne on nkomo dai
aha nti ene
ne be bon nkomo
ye be bon nkomo pa nkomo ne ye bo akopem 11 o'clock nti minum se ye kwe na ye kwa no awie ye hwe mission senfi oso Jalilu see the report of the buy efa finance of political parties ewo man Ghana mu which we hwe ade a yaka ho asama say the state should fund political parties or minor emma political party bisinska na wo mo fa mo ho bra parties na bi soso e bi yanketoa enti de se yemfa ne se o man mpo ne ye be boye ho bra man ya ye hu sika se yemfa nkire a sika na se ye che no equally ana ane se be hwe obi ahoden de gina so de maniska eno ye 1 2 see the default report yom de buy ye fa okwan ye fa so e de finance political parties o man Ghana mu no o se bibeska ne bi fi banenye dangerous pa I think the culture as of mine I person the democracy teacher man
yo me dase me fa wa fidie na me ntia wa ahwefo nyina ene bia atiefo right
yes
yo enokre the first part of the first question say ye gitum say oman no na e wo say omo ebua political party activities or mumfan political parties ebia se jituma ebia sika no ye nche no pepepe ema omo ana em se ko chen pepepe ema political parties no I know so ebe ha adwen. I think there should be the percentage maybe based on the strength of the political parties, you know. And a bit one, a bit to me, I share say parliament almost strength, no, saying. But sometimes so we could do and so effectively, no, naturally say you are cutting down on the other smaller parties, you know. So they be also you can say you pay third force. So and third force we share titru ni ama one of the reasons are ama other political parties need to be in sika. They do not have the wherewithal, the sika bet me a prosecuting elections or no. Now the question is then na NDC ni MPP there omutumi enya sika prosecuting elections. So and on idea about second question no so so because these are the two parties now omanya opportunity ruling the fence saying omano so omanya opportunity to rule omano ye was sika bi o ha ye de ma mo saying ka mo mfanye political party activities ana they be where do they get the money from? So I think that's what will be the next one now make so for me that first question is say yes, I think we will have to work out a saying a formula be a bit to me ama smaller parties no so omubenya I do not think say you share the strength of the political parties no I think say it depends upon formula na be use but it should be done in such a way say smaller parties no also benya bibi na nko say bia you can say be use the strength of the political parties in parliament and actually effectively no smaller parties no omuntumi enye eyi yes starting at certain point in time apart from the NDC and the MPP you had about 8 seats from the other the more be drew 5 be drew 3 say the last parliament omuni you fancy any smaller parties parliament this parliament the same thing any other apart with exception of say be independent MP no about kukra enya no kra no we all know say the background no MPP and fancy maybe ntawanta bi ntina original oko independent win here so effectively no omuni unti say ka say be ye chess kanu so we should also look for other means be a bit me aboa smaller parties na na ma ye multi party democracy na ma ye other options so who outside the NDC and then the MPP. Now coming to the second aspect of if I say question say about say CDD report no actually say political parties largely effectively it is the NDC and the MPP say more activities use dirty money and normally dirty money is from if I say largely one thing is that we need political parties need resources no matter what it is before the offense and the primaries they need money to do A, B, and C during the primaries and then the election so there's no doubt to say we cannot take out money from elections and money from politics but the fact is that the level of research now amount for IAM and CDD actually say a lot of money go into estimate say in presidential election for example about 575 million Ghana cedis and NDC and MPP use it for to run presidential election which is equivalent to about $100 million. So member of parliament so they spend about 4 million Ghana cedis. 4 million Ghana cedis. That's a lot of money. All right. So the question is, almost said the indicated say 2016 or so. Now a member of parliament spend about 690,000 or so. And that was just about that is equivalent to a member of parliament 2 years salary. So that's say currently members of parliament are spending about 4 million Ghana cedis. Who say the 4 years, that's about 48 months, right? how much na member of parliament earning? Now you multiply by that. So where do they get the other from? And that is where CDD research now provide they lead to that. To actually say largely, you know, apart from say ebia individuals no contest no save to prosecute the elections. They get money also from family, friends, and all that. Apart from that, we also talk about political entrepreneurs and also political investors. There are people who invest in the political activities of parties, candidates, and all that. Now, and also, in some largely. Because study be a minimum price tag be so actually say some of the political parties will be someone so a mobilization of be a party members dues but political parties for saying in a 8-year dues are bit to me almost to that level. So largely, you know, let's just say they are getting resources from somewhere, right? And that is where CDD and my clue say dirty money. And I said money, dirty money. No, I say it could be from fraud, okay? It could be from other activities like organized crime, okay? Kidnapping, and there are various sources. And I'm also indicating say illegal mining. Yes, we need illegal mining activities now also, and even fighting it be a problem because one, there are officials now amongst our government who are also part of those whether previous government, current parliament in so it means that illegal mining is illegal. So if they are sponsoring, it means that it's part of the dirty money now. So now, why is it that at this, why should we get to this point? We get to a situation where now you drew
do we have to spend that much on election?
That is where the problem is. It's because of the high cost in the elections that our parties because one, I mean, say it has become. I say we be running elections. It is becoming normal that you need to give money to party full soldiers. So parties when they are coming, they say, "Oh, munko they give them money, go and campaign, go and do this and all that. So you need money in order to prosecute that, in order to sponsor those activities. Nti ya election, the high cost of elections, and no, it can be in a manner because once you person in order to say to win, it is not to mean that you want to use money. Who person will use sika now the edge to me no. So it means that you need to spend a lot. So to say who need be a honor political investors say okay, you know what, I'm going to give you money, okay, so that you'll be able to win. Now also say we win here. Then it means that and also want to so bonnie Emma or mine because when they come obi ni wa obeba mema like say lunch free or the scar Emma or the mouth for certain reasons. And so the man say onye to me no so a na che say na ma bi a ope because illegal mining na ade na illegal ono anso na o de sika e de abra o say fa bo bra and I say fa bo a na win election. So why win election yin so a now say okay, illegal mining no matter say menye illegal so sometimes it becomes very difficult for you to even hold people accountable say ebia illegal so the president kura yire ne hu kura say or for say ebia illegal mining no otu ase kura na ebinim so ehye ase because they benefited from or they are benefiting from it until the high cost of na apart from that let me say legal election framework and I say financing regime nankasa so no a problem. Your political parties who share your constitution Article 55 you say only citizens of Ghana can fund can make a donation or contribution to fund the activities of political party citizens. Okay, the other aspect has to do with say citizens as a company be largely Ghanaian owned. At least 75% is owned by a Ghanaian or no be to me the Abua political parties. So what you see. But we share so say it doesn't state say it talks about political parties. But what about candidates? Right? So we share Emrana or say citizens and it defines citizens to even include the corporate, the firms now Ghanaian owned. Okay? But when it comes to the political parties anchor about citizens, private citizens now no contest election, you know. So it doesn't define that to include political parties. That means the political parties. So what about the candidates and so on? Almost and it doesn't also indicate to say, Abia, this is the amount now an individual can pay to a political party. So let me say loopholes no lacuna na ewo hono and also edoso. Oh, so Act 574 from 2000, I think, and also idea some of these activities, you know, very difficult. And the actors involved, because it's very difficult. Say once they are benefiting, they want to win, they need resources. So certainly they will rely on that. Say and to say a loser, a weaker. Once they are benefiting from it, they are those which are the NDC and MPP, and they are all benefiting from it. So they seem not to care about it. So I think it's a high time now. So some of these researchers now, baby, if it's a certain duration, they will look at all this and then they will begin to tighten. If it's by they no researchers no more, like a policy, for no more they will not even
What can say be men not too much to say because the babies are Jeffrey say Kabuti. You know say you were somewhat to about. You which one can say Democrats. Abia Joe Biden. Abia emphasis Donald Trump. They've gotten such an amount of money. This company donated this amount of money to a candidate A or B. And so I'm going to find election no more yen scattered or money. Scow Bunya campaign or more yen state way say no coca say we no coca sell. Yes, Uncle Fono. Efa democracy. Yes, you can say free in a say free neighbor. Ye secondly, Omana Kasaya but to wash so say every political party must account for Sekebionia. And this canon so we don't do that. But dear I share about to also a letter commission. One more honest to be sure concept. All political parties abide by that directive. And Mra, and that was a dear Juma. Letter commission so one so more so I mean you said the last time or my share party between Chile and said for I could the bush share bra. And do you think I say I grew up in the AD. Baby acquired their man, nipper be and cancer somebody's coming away among you say mono. And the rather the other day in the baby as you know. Second if you have been a buyer, you must obey your this kind of mao. It is a shade of piano. Now you are heading yana a cofaso the panaquas. What do you think we should do to avoid this?
Would be sapa na see I'll be safa. Miniano or cano. Me say Bakwa naka so no so can efa ho ne say sikana ye de ba no ka ye bu mra no ye bu ni ye pa se a woken se mra ne se sika bia a obaji bia no se eye obi ene de brewo ana wa manyukuofo na moye mode me sempoa obi ade ne de ba kakra o mo obi o me membership card on se ye ko ye ni mo ye ade bi 2020 ibima abimu si 1 Ghana cedi ubeto amanana do de iska kakra ma no amakaya yefo kra ye se ebimu diska bi ebetu mu ma munyina mu kam yete ye ne nti aye se kasika na unya ye ne se ye hwe na kasi asidi ye nhwemi no ehun se ka onkrata mu audited account photocast be ka se audited account ye hwe usika se mu se sika ye de ba mu nie ena ne a odi koto ye nie ni a odi ye bia ne be hu so hwe sa nhuma ni mu a ka etimi emu da ho pefe a ene me ne wo ka sei ukọ political party bia second afi bia no afi nwie chire no audited account e je say ahwe ne mumem ama ne sika sem bia akodu nie no obi anye wonye nti akodu abato afi na nkasa na ende menye se ombe e say sa bre no so na sika ne ye de e ba wano obi a twa nani e hwe na onim enkontia Ghana aban enkwan ho acha aban ene amanyo sem enkwan ho na omowo sa ekuo no mu no se mfa ne se ye NDC o se ye NPP o omowo mu no ekoti omo ha
how
o se e ba no krap se obi anfam bia amfi abote ama ukọ party na nkese mu a omowo be the wealthy ones o work sika ode no kakra no ono ne sika bebre ni bedi mu a ono wakasa buri he who pays the piper no ono be kire enyuma ye mo photocast say who pays the piper cause a tune nti ka wo de ba ye fie kasem na tese ye ko badwe mu a ne a no oyi ni sika ma ne o botwene no ono be kire nwuma ye mo oh ye say o so ka tete bi ye ka anko o pekra ye bo de bi e yo be ma ya bo no sa ko sisi oni sika ne ye de ya de no nti ka ye ko ye nim e o sika sem mu a manyoku no mu no ono yi ni sika bebre a sesi a ye be ye ne ye be ma contraja ubo se ne ye twa contract jodo na ko mo no nko a so no kra po onye gota kra eni ne nsensem be pie mu obo se ekuku da mefo bi e ko je contract to ato aso a oje be se du a na afi oyi bi ama minya be mo tie no me yi bi ama enko enim kra po betima kire se ye fra aba mu nkrofo a ye fa me nkrofo du nkom obi a ontimi nya kra po a se me na me se emfa ne nhye mu ntino na afi etosi nkra ya yedi na eko enti ye ko enim de enti ese sika ne yi no ka obi a se ka mu nya tie ye na obi a de ne me oni sempo abeka ho a ye beto adwene a usika ewo mu bia ye ka no waka bi ukọ ye efie kra ye wo mu yi se yie ba na se onipa ba ku na yi sika na ahwe kra oba kire bebe be da funu enti ye se obi jo ma ya ye ni entwen omo wa be tra se obi dwom no nye se omo hu ye o o nyansa wa kire se nko han canopy ye han konya na wo sika uniska nti bi jo mransa nti se uhwe sika ni yie na e ma obi kasa eko dem echen obi nti ye tufu se ma obi a ye be yisika na kire bebi odi sika ni fiye obi wo ha adwuma na oye no ehu wo fi kakra se o kan galamse ni niam enye no nko a ye osike bi a amano ne ye yi ba ye de be ye niam abone enu boni ye de beton wo kurom ye twi bi fam nti se omo sa nkrofo no se omo nko a na nyame amoaye na omo no mbe yi sika na ende ne otwi fam a ese wo ye dini ye gold insensem ye obi wa obetu gold ni wi a ode kwa obetumi ya fada ne chi akotogo no aye re-entry de abaga na biom nti afi obel sport ya na ehun ka na form kakra o twahye se o ye nyina na aye din ese ye chi na o se ne kroma o tumi se ye tumi wi obi ye boni bi ye chi ni wi a na afi wonti asem no asem biom nti sa ni ama no se o pese ye nyina ye nya voice I friend se obenya ni e wo politics na amamu no amanyoko ni amana aye ye ni mu a ese nyina ye che ehun ka no na ohwe ehun ka no kra po a ebi hia ya se yakofa kai ni edi petro egum ni ebo na mu gidigidi ni ebo ye kon ye pepra ye ho ofa ukọ omo kra sika ni bi kra po na omo timi ye platform ba ko che se omo be ma obi a akwanya bi na omo nyina be gina kono ba ko so no maka omo adwene nti ni ehu na ka na ye brena se so man ka no kosoro a me be ma o TV na me ma o radio ansa oto aba ma me a minya kwanya na se sika no bibia oti free bia wiase mu na me ka kire e wa ho brase mu bibia nye free wa wiase mu even free healthcare ubati free education it is free at the point of need but somebody pays for it nti se ode be ma no fakwana fakofie fakodi free ene se me pe tumi jimo jikosia jiwe me ma owie a me koje ni bi ho nti se me ma kotua me ba ben mu a na tese omo so omo awadwumu na ho no no so ayeden abaji sika no nyina abonebo nti ubete se ese obi di nsa bu mu a sa niama we nyina ne nkontabu a enimu no na se ehu ekoba se obi eko yi sika no obebia enye no de baaye de a mesre obesan fasa kwan ne so a e sika na ko biaye a ko yi sika ne fia nti omo na ye hwe omo ni omo ye no si a omo ye no seke idiomechi si a omo ye na pepepe a ubon se bibia o kan se ye nye se ujisika se o de be ya amanyoko niama chechire mu emu kakra eda ho ne se na ma obia nya kasa ne bi ni ntika obia be yi bi ngum uko yi fi bebi so ahwe se wa ho ne akojisika no na uko yi sika ne fi bebi anya a ochina o de ko a ahwe atimamfo na nti wase a na che se de kasa bibire ba na obeti se ye se o sika no obi di nsa ko bom na edigirigidi aba sa niama ya ohun se utwa wani hwe sisi a Africa West Africa atitiri wuni ntokwantoka kredi epiepie mu sika amanyoko ni sika ensensem ya bi mu edidi mu ubon se oba abrofo no na bakoso ese o kan se ubon se abrofo na omo abonte no omo so betima mosika puduro pa obmaso a no de abrewo wo de ye o campaign no ye uwi ni wi a o se ebi wa ka wa on kan kire wo say ni senti no de ma wo enso ka wa dwene mu da na udwene pa say papa we man ko edwuma bi ama no okuku ska yi da ama me se me fa ko gina enti odi sika no de ye niam ni wi a afi no wa hyehye nkrata eguo o se bra ye nkasa ya oni bibi yam se kamanwe ne ho sa so eja kwabra me ame wo fa se ono so sa good ya na ono so oye enti we ka o de o yi udu a no yi weni kakra on se ho be ho pepepe fan ama ho nti ko instrahwe de di kan mienu emiensa na okwa wo se wa ya ne pepepe afi ne eto ato aso no na afi de obekọ na pascal adwire gukura enso untimi nka dodo na asefem ha wo se abamu mpinfo ne mo mbekasa wo kire wo se asefem omo ye hu bibi ene ate saa ye hu bibi so yentimi nya hu bibi anti encounter bondia man bu encounter no bia sika ni bi nkom na ye wi a na nyina ye toto adwene a wa he ni ya wo sika nkom bia ye toto adwene ko ke bia ye se Jacob Blanc o ne Jeff maka yate ye be hwe de ye eno ne ye fe ne se waka yate enso ye mfa
ya kan nyina ade ba ko fama dwemu hwim ene se sika ne beba sika ne so mo de ye campaign nso a omo de mayen a ye wa kire a ye ni tumi a omo de brand se yen ni nti ye gi a ne yedi yedi wi so no mo be fa adwane wi a no mo kire de sese yen so ye enti so mo de ba na se yen so ye anye ani ne ye ka so de for sika ebe no so ameto ama wo a anka empusu wo mu ya manyofo ne se ene akoya ya me de akoma ya wanye se me ba na samanyam hihye yi a obeto atia me nti ebe ma obi de beba obode ba yanye ni nti de ono pe no wotumi nye de ye pe no ana odi pa ne be ye yenso yomode bre yetumi nye bibisa
obi ejuma na yeso yesa ejuma we ye fe o National Commission for Civic Education
okay
aban mbia bi wo ho aka me nua be ma ne ma oka e nyina na sa soe no ke so mo omo be ben no mo ka kire timamufo ne se unim sika na wo gine ho sonso aso ho waji brodo wedi waji mo wedi sika no ukobra boabo no se se asidi dia ye na e ba ko pepepepe sei sa papa we ye hwe ni krata emu no wa ye adwuma wa aban mu be se 30 years ana 10 years ana 15 years sa adwuma no ye nya ni sika nyina wo no endu obepepe ba akopo enti sa sika na okonya kire se okoji ni baby sa bia no okoji ye no so to abanama ni wie a obekwa akotua sa aka we nyina afi ochina ubaya na oben obega kire se ebi ni o enya na ehu akire afi de mo ha adwen dodo ubo se campaign time obu bie pon no to okọ politician bi fie a kraman ni ho gate man kra obo kaso nim na adwuma ogina ho se a ono so kamo bi na mu nyina mu twafam na mu nyina mu gidi enso ye twawie no owini wie pe kraman be ba ho ochima be hu na adwuma oba se ochiro na nti awaba sa na manya on se ta bia no mu kire eniama we nyina ye be hu se ye ni beda ho oboni potokasem na se di dia kase I clear obi ni beda ho se de bi se sikare amiji enye free ya mase e bedi ni akoda
yes
udi a obe ye ho anyuma ne se ba be yi owu a obotom on se na se obi kase o se o ye ma ye free water abansi ye besan agiji kakra won ento on se nshase o ti free se si a wate se ye se
ye betua
ubetua enti na me ka tell say ebre na ye dey ma no at the point of need and dey free e kwa da jikodi enso e ba say ehun aka aba ye betua ubetua bi either directly or indirectly ukoto semina na dey atoso also betua ma ba dey hia pa ne say sabia ye na NCC no omo nkokro no mu na omo ne CSOs na omo ye governance ejuma no omo ne timamfo ni di hu nkitahu na omo kire omo se unima education na no kire se krata na ntwere nko awo se no ba one se picture ni information no woni omo edi nkitahu na obisa omo adwen mu a omo so be kire omo adwen kakra se ani adwen se eja ko brother so o ska o debi enya sa obi a mo di nkitahu wi a obo se enya ne se election de edisu mienu ya say ebe assembly election na obi eni ate ba ko de bi ebe ko ne kakra protocol be ka say outcomes ne kom kakra sa obo say na banya impact je say abaye tirimu na fe obo say yenko efie be say enan na ebedu 2024 abatu no obo hu nsakire kakra se si ada onim de eba e ko ne nim kwa ya free be say ebribi atwem na bicycle sika kakra bi ne yapon sesi aye che saa me che moto e che car nti se uduru ho pe na che se afi wotra sesi ade be eduru yatra e ho ka okọ ebrochire a ne o ye car no ono o ye campaign a on check car
na mo wa wo kwoto fili ho ba no ko se sika kran fensa fili
unye sakre enso wo che moto wo che car e ho ka beba nti wo de kan ye ntwa ne tiawa no NCC biafo no yen from ya enua be bai o man ho so ne nkrofo no na wo bekọ Ghana be bia no na e fe de se omo departments nyina ho omo form hombom na information services department omo ne omo nye ministry of information yenye bibimbo me de adwene bi ba am from development communication officers sisi abe no right to information officers ne ntia na am from development communication officers nche nkoso on ehun semsem no ka omo kana timamfo nyina obi a nti asem bi ebeba te e-levy say no kenye se ka aban mu nkrofo no mo den e ko mea omo chirechire mu ke be sa officers no wo de ba ku tum say na wo de sa krata no fam pe obo say fa abafu fide nso ko nenim say a ono betimi afra timamfo no deba wo be ko bia no enra ahenfo ye nananom apenso ye bo gongon a obi aba ye se o kira no pa dewura ye bo ye ko ma adwuma obi a oba ye be ni sei ye pon ni sei ni anom nsuo ye ne fefefo before ye de kata ye be fi ebruti aba no ni enim ya de bi o uba epuya no a Tuesday a ebnada no ye nkopo ade ntia mo so mo nwene net ne ni ama na o de ye o adwuma no na ensrahwe bi na adorin bi a na ye mamra bi wo ha na ye sata no so na ye nananom so ye de ehwie nsu kakra e de frefre ni ama e de tunu am yi enti bo se ye nyama bi mu yi aka ye mbedu bebe edui enso we de NCC any Ministry of Information omo for mo adwene mbom na omo mbo apa na timamfo no nti ase se brodo na ye eche no ukodi bia ochina ho ka ba ubetua pa
we da say o say brodo na de no ochina ho ka ba ubetua na utua so betua na ya anya sankuma so mpa
ja
asema ye kan on so kan ya ma ne bedu ba bi say ye checkers metumi aka say ukoje ye wo mo ajeje nuru no me nyi bi dade o mo say ukoje tumi na e say o bi afa haban we bra o fi haban so a na o say fa afofra ntobra e fi afofra nto so a na o say fa akokọ ntakra de akokọ kakra ka di mu da bedu ba bi na fa di pabra nipa no and a year maximum level no international debut na de beko e bia wan kasa nkwa na de betwa so yes here practice democracy fourth republic yen sheda enyi bebiri sa but also the level at which the monetization of our politics e ko so man ga na mu na won say your future be the sense say you to be chache kasa signal be na send am ayen emma nipa bonfo a ewudifo a wom wo sika and from sika may be right because I need to win the election at all costs me ni sika no na say obi se memma some billions of dollars no they winning I don't care where the money is coming from me the baba yentimi wi a also the call for baba start so the Jeffrey kan ye no would you say you fail when it comes to our political dispensation
Agya me da say I think say me new ampanyfo na aka bi pa me pese me ya ma me answer me pese me fa CDD report na me break me you question na no but me highlight some report no explanation be me new ampanyi di kan bi and then I'll reduce it to Mrano potting no na fan bi to say and then I would give opinion on what is called the edge of democracy. Actually, question here would be say there's a full documentary say democracy has come to its edge, and a documentary news to Brazil, for example, to tell us Brazil has gone to a place Sebisika and a Ruli from their operation car wash, our more president back with that jail. One thing is common in Brazil, which the documentary points out, say politicians never echo. But the only people who stay are the people with the money, which in Brazil is the construction firms. The big contractors rule democracy. In the question now, just to start off, it's an encoma echoes we are seeing. I said, has democracy come to its edge? and I say ama yosem any kabima menkabi no ya bedru na no ana no na ya bedru no sabi enye wo kabi no menkabi eye de o sika no na be che ba bia nyina ya beko but answer now I'll give opinions no I mini apanyika and I want to highlight CDD say answer now be run effective presidential campaign we $100 million yet your money ko your team kakra if we let the figure sink $100 million to run an effective presidential campaign. The average worker, nyamiya wa dumpa ebia ubenya $1 million in a lifetime, but the average person will never make $1 million in a lifetime, right? $100 million. Who they back Ghana sikama to say rate then 6 point, depending on where you're getting by 6.6, 6.7. This is about 606, almost 700 million Ghana cedis. 700 million Ghana cedis, or $100 million ranking ABI. Because Juma Obia won Juma Bebre. In order to get the worth of 100 million is worth several productive sectors. Sebi impenyufo yeka enyuma ekua woga na boma. ABI ya fam penyufo mo nyuma kese ABI ani eka omunyuna omunyuma nyina boma. The value I dare say ABI endru 100 million. Into ufa nyuma kese nyina na oka the value boma. ABI endru 100 million. But you need that same amount of money in order to run an effective presidential campaign. Inti yame no sinke. Inti u person oya president, MPP, NDC, o, independent, o, XXX, o, whatever the party, we are $100 million in order to run an effective presidential campaign. MP you here 4 million Ghana cedis. Out of 4 million Ghana cedis, no, and move half your primaries. Inti well qualified primaries, I'll be spending about 2 million Ghana cedis. In order to get the primaries, no, and 2 million Ghana cedis, no, you have man say why you Juma bear 40 years. Utie ya no anya 2 million cedis. Utie anya ya unya 2 million cedis now there. But Obi, I also pay 2 million cedis to get the primaries. Yeah. And was I spending another 2 million cedis in order to get the MP. But the most serious part of CDD report, they say, among we say Nipa 9 of the financiers they dabbled in illegal activities, including serious organized crime.
Wow.
9 were alleged. Let me use the word. So 9 of the financiers are alleged to be in serious crimes, including organized crime. And Galam say, and all the other things I mean, now, when we look at these factors, yet I say the entire or minor, you pusunu said they are as a wapusunu no, and they are better than ka. Yet, who has to be compare $100 million, Aberani effective presidential campaigner. Kwabena first oka say, oh, when ya, $100 million now spending, you know, mo back. There is no way you would explain it. Say, oh, nya $100 million back. And yen na sabi yen na yewa adwen sabi o ubetimi aka say on the otunu hu ache Ghana sa so obekọ akopɛ $100 million I be take a lifetime and a generation to raise no the abe run campaign no abe president or president you are not the nation bottom no aka say me do Ghana nti o me de me $100 million ache Ghana e bia ye benya bi ba ye nya ni susu say ye dru oye. The rationality of the spending warrant say I was in the Pakronya Faso. And Nipasu ni adwemu say ne sitie no so be spending $100 million or bepe home faso. Yes. Into your spending you find say you was spending 10 years cra. This is one campaign. Into your spending you find say 2 seasons are 200 million effectively. Into your spending 8 years and 10 years the president. Kana our ball last year $100 million. Need your about $100 million. No, I also attend kind na time or an agency or per president edi any sika or their mobile and not the mini Jeffrey ebano eka no bum no. Now the question is once you pay the piper sebi yan crowd ko bobo no be the ball ba oh ye shen cry the ball we are no watching the ball oko yapon Inti Ekosi says Sikano na determine who becomes the leader in the democratic era, no? It is the money that is determining and Sikano na check kwa ya efaswako. But the mrano poten incident. Then what does the law say about Nyeyehu? Is there a provision in law for it? Sebi debi ameka say on my Ghana, I say they here beyond your home. But question and they say, yeah, implementing now, why na we be affecting? And your mom mukuta to me no. And I do kuta to me no so na ebe che okwan ya fa so enforce mra no. Inti me susu say ma dwemu de emra we emra, it's so fundamental to our democracy. And I say ya man yourself no. Any kabima min kabino. Emra we na hu hia pa in order to get our democracy right. But yeah, enforce so mo ebe affect your mo pa no, e your mom mukuta to me no. So kamia koyese emra if he ehun komodie so meaning how many lawyers would have a conversation about these laws. And I was having a conversation with a friend. No, I say, oh, political financing laws there. Yes, minini di hun komo, which is a nra. More fair me and I was having a conversation. On no lawyer enka na dwen on share dan fa na dwen consosa. Oh, into the American man question is Emrano and me assure say TFO bebre. Agya shedan koso say Emra wo ho about political finance, but there is laws. Starting from our constitution. I think Article 55. Okay, 14. I say political parties shall be required by law. One, to declare to the public their revenues and assets and the sources of those revenues. So right from the constitution mandates say what's a political party be a kache baby onya ni sika fi ni baby onya na japade fi any fa ko onya fi ye
say japade sika do wo japade do wo sika wanya be sika ni free.
You are required by law to tell us. Ebi amina misa but meaning and before say eba I ebi a Google no na minim use but me ko NDC ni MPP for website. Just for the purposes of Obibeka say shege reason. Say me ko here say oko banks are on some financials. Ewo ho nti me ko mo website keke ebi amehu. Ebi amahunu de hwe. Ba ma hu. O de ona okay japa na me. Me say ya di akira japa me say
Who ya atwim.
Eje ko ro ka we nesi. Ba me na make ni say ma hunu ne hwe.
Okay.
Na me ya Google search financial statement of political parties in Ghana. Me share say be one ma hu ba kokra ntie bi a Google no again ma hunu ne hwe. But say you are required to publish an annual audited account. That is Constitution 5514B. You are required to publish to the public annually their audited account. They are required to publish annually. Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. But we've reduced it into a Political Parties Act in 2000, Act 574. Section 13, Section 14. The most important thing for this conversation is Section 21. Or see, after 6 months of every 31st, 6 months after 31st, they are mandated to publish their financial statements. The 21-2, they say, Obia Ghana nibi opebia by determination by Electoral Commission. Ubetimi ako EC, ako busa and they say me pay MPP for financial statement.
Okay.
Me pay NDC for financial statement. They shall determine a fee obetia. For the purpose of this conversation, I will try and go through that process and see if I can request for it and see what it is. But the point is, the law actually mandates all of us to go to EC and request for the financial statement. Yenyati ni say asia now say Bible can say nimdia me mind ninti or rampa. Because the moment we understand this, the question becomes say, are we all say na ye hunu baby omunyo musika fi ni say $100 million now they be pay manyo o they be pay panino unya free here. If we have a right to say ye bebu say unya free here and you are required by law to tell us baby unya free here. Say ye nya baby unya free here na ye betimi adi nkomo ni ye. but embassy and ne yentimi ndi nkomo. And I know say nkomo na ye di no very well obi beka say is a nerve end of some power blocks. Ndi nkomo a ye di and nkomo ketwa sa na ye di no.
To me now no hwehwe no nya to me na wie. Enti be bia okonya ne sika fie for $100 million so say whatever money a onya ye no. Obi ani be be free. Emra no so chese so to me chire me. Enti na me bisa say are we failing in so-called democracy?
Section 23 goes on to say, only citizens can give money.
Okay.
Yensusu yemu dia nya amai mu nkwa na maska. And I think say if we did a survey in this room, say ususu say Ghana for nkwa na donate sika ma amanyo for. ABI obi shaking it me ye nyina nim say yes anete. Section 30 criminalizes a crime. Say ubrichi this actor a crime. I'll bet me a prison fee mienu. And I say you'll be fined 10 million penalty unit. Penalty unit be 12 cedis. The 10 million no, you are liable to be found about 12 times 10. That's about 12 million Ghana cedis for breach of the law. But the who say mrana ejuma. So ntumbu say democracy na ye ejuma. In part make us say ejuma, but this is the nerve end. But for say now America no. Of course they do all kinds of their things. But political donation is a matter of public cause. Nti enim say we am a waska. We they say we fund the democracy Democrats, we fund the Republicans. We know it. But a camera say hano ye nim your this kind of man who impo. Say be ye nim say now this kind of man, and then we know what to reasonably expect. Instead case a big farmer in US, pharmaceuticals. Or beton poison amobia. He will still lobby through and get the laws he wants because ye nim say big farmer finances political parties, and he who pays the piper determines the tune or tells us say nyuma yembo. Indeed. At least it gives us reasonable expectations. Say say oh sikani fi ha. Inti yeba ya hwenu say sebi assume say na this kind ba enti. Assume say wo bank die. Da ya aban sika abeko bank bi ho. So we have a reasonable conversation. Say hwenu ni say if this is not what we want as a nation, and then there are examples where the state itself gives a minimum contribution, and I say caps a ceiling for running a presidential or a campaign. The case unti mean spending more than 1 million, unti mean spending more than 10 million. But out of that, no, we would fund a buying or EC would give you 10% of your budget. There are some state ways of financing because the democracy is important. It's a Jacob now the American man question is said, are we failing as democracy? We are on the edge of democracy. There's a full documentary, Brazil na a case in point. Say the evolution of Brazilian democracy. They've literally come to the edge because Sika and they determine who sits in the big chair. I think we have come to the edge of democracy. Say to start with $100 million. Now they have a president. Nipa sebi omo mu betimi aya president a mu betimi asesa o man no ebia ye nya bi
because onu ni
because onya handle
we can say enti no monetization of our democracy enti no obi a nadwene mu do wonim de pa nko betimi nim de aboa esa so oni sika enti no sabi ta fraction sabi pani anim na obi akwahwe aba bia sabi onim hwe na owo sika no mu aba bi
eja kwamna no na waka no say yemfa ne say meka asem ka ho me fa say me ka sem me ko pa MP o bia nkwanta sesi e na ka say 4 million na 4 million
ko fa we
nim be ya me ko akofa afi wow but ekobande say obi ka say oh abrante we e bia o dachi nti me man 4 million ni bia we are sure so o man me 4 million ni keke ana say me tianika say me tianika na say me MP a kwa be na me fa so me tianika e na o say me nti me tiana meka principles and I make us say, oh, yeah. But the moment you get compromised in the process, you intimate Sisano because Udiobika Campro, we are there Obechanica. Inti the moment we monetize the system, we should forget about changing our system.
Asema okay ana ye bidi bisa we dey tew na fe yenko other topics so ye wo okay ye akabe 22 minutes answer na 10 abo be pon 11 o'clock pepe na say ye nyane tie say wo mo a sabi ye ne maneme ya sabi mo akura anyi asore gina pintin say pese organa e pese organa e pese de bagana me ka ma me nkan susu dia LGBTQ+ nsem ama be yehu ebinum kan sisu dia pain e ma be ye say wo mo a etachira wo mo kan ho asem yemani mro yemani yese you know it's like they've been influenced per ebia or say human rights na se for wo so mo escapa into mo escapa betumi atachiri drug laws wo mo ye du no body ho dwa wo mo so betumi dia ba wo kan se ma be yem hye me kakra say ebinum di abonefosem nti mo nam abonefosem sika no so and a sponsor.
Yeah, that's what CDD reported. Yes.
Alleged. And you're not, are you not in danger, pa? Because one more. To bomb we need my name, we are saying, one more castle pa. And you,
who now, so Kai say, yeah, Qualam. Oh, my me and you can't talk ball amount. When you can't talk basketball amount. And so, a na or ye na pano. What the ball could feel whips as all Gunyana. Fasain. Fasa suban no Jacob na my encrem ukremu saa unya ball mo ara oni nye unya sakrim chi weni nye enso bra be ko enim fatu utirim pa se me say saa time no wo the ball no fe wo the referee a wo ma me say hey wa ball ni na fo wa no to fafa entem
fako
so me mama Grace aminim na odi wechi ne ye ko baby a odi fi no ba ko hu sa ni pakro
edu baby ase de ba fi enfa nwura fi o fi no kona baby na de ahye ho me ka odi sie
ye che ma obi akora wo nkwa de wo ko fi na wo taletale ho e wo bibi ntie na ye mama mu di sa mra no eni sa adesua ne hye yetirim na ochi na bi wo ko wanim no wan ko fo bi ade bi a ehu nsonson e ba na afi ne ehu ne enye ne biom aha obi ade da ho akwala wode wunim we no kofa baaye duabo bi aye bo a e ba be twie busia nyina enti se wode sa adwene no tu adwene mu na hu se ne ameka nhyase se amamre ne niama na ye nnia no na entitie bi omode ma yen se de bebu ye bre yie no afi wo ko ni mu de aba politics mu amanyoku sem sika na ye koje no ene ehu de no de bi a ehu wo ka na ene wudi wi a ochina yesi sika na mudi ye no bebi efiri nie na onim se sika bi wa wudi wi a se onim bebi efiri o onim bebi efiri o yeti ha sesi na me se mikrata asin enkotu bi ni enom na mudi mechi ni enom ni yewe na miko wi a ya ye ba ofa eja kwabla ye ni mu so ye TV program o ye obi a wo tew so wo week bab ni bi nkwa anje o de ye nkwa ansa ye ko duru ha o ka wa sema ni e bi Jacob na o beka akogu ye se o nka ho na ka ene ne ye do a wa na Monday ni ye ka se e be kokot what dem Saturday what dem Sunday
48 hours no 5 days
kibab ba ko a we tie ni yo kibab no ahia kra pa kibab kan obetimi ato enso ba wi wrong kibab a ehun wasem na obewe ye nti na Saturday udem Monday udem nti ye come Monday na court kan say sika okowi a no hwe puduo ni pa o wi sika ni wi sika na bi mfa be bi nti ya adwene mu ye nti da onim bibi yen san to shine na Friday na ye medi asem na Tuesday Wednesday sa ne ye ken you sika kakra uji wo campaign time mu ni nti no ubo se ho asem akoba sa LGBTQ fa o kan yi o musika na ye di be hye mu a aka wo de ka wo Kristo ni de ka naka onimpa aka o musika de ka onkoso enso ebra wo gi TV na onim se o musika so o de nti a obi beka se minya kan ye o mo hyehyɛ mmra no sanya ma we nyina wo hu yo so kina bi asɛm nti ɛna ye ka se mamu nkoye ni sei obi a ode bebe bia ye hu bebe sika ni fi na omu yiwe fi sa ensɛm yi bi mu ɛna omu kan ye no ye tworo to na ode hye book no enso ene se o bebe akodu iwe ndi sa mmra no so a bebe edi abedu ni ama sika bi a ɛho ɛwɔ asɛm abetom wedi dada o ntende ne ɔka sɛ yɛ no wobɛyɛ wo sɛ sɛ yakɔ yɛ nim no wagye sika na ewie no ontimi ɛma mega te sɛ sika na megye yɛ na yɛ sei tubo so de kasa bi piapia sɛ tetimamfo na ɔmo sɛ ɔmbɛyɛ de a yɛhwɛ sɛ yɛbɛtimi yɛ kristofo uko muslimfo so ha ɔmo sɛ haram uba kristofo ha yɛ sɛ yɛ ɛma asɔfo bi kura sɔre yɛ sɛ ɛnyɛ krom ha yɛnyɛ traditional rulers ɔmo so sɛ hey ɛnyɛ fie ha nti wo sɛ ntetea bi na ɛwɔ hɔ sɛ yɛyɛ amammerɛ tete no ɛyɛ dua wɔ yɛ mu saa mɛmfa obi adeɛ mɛfie ha minim a ma ɔmmɛka kyerɛ me ansana yɛmfa ma wo me se megye biscuit ɛwɔ obi hɔ wode agya kwabra mo yɛnkɔ so
yɛn nyinaa yɛho bi da yɛabo yɛn bi da ɛnyɛ sɛm kɔma kɔ nti asɛm a yɛkan no ɛyɛ asɛm a mu dɔ yie papapapa san sɛ wokɔfa sam aduane na sɛ wodi a ɔyɛ abante bi na ɔbɔ no nnwom ɔsɛ ɔyɛ kɔ jata bi olɛ ke da obana wana wakɔfa jata ba jata ba de ne ho afɔ wodi ne ho agonyini bi ɔbɛkye wawe ɛne ne saa asɛm a yɛka nti ɛyɛ asɛm a yɛ ne bere sɛ bɛsɛ yɛtum hwɛ ne adi ho nkɔmmɔ nti mesrɛ wo a wo nso dɔ agye nkyerɛ bɛ yɛbɛgye berɛ na yɛakenkan kakra nankasa no yɛyi na okay obi deɛ bi by na ka bɛsa meka ne yɛde yɛ question but ɛm sɛ ɛtu afra mehwehwɛ na sɛ mehu a yɛde bɛwuram na yɛhwɛ asɛm baako a seesei ɛdi ahim wɔ ɔman Ghana mu paa ɛyɛ e-levy saa e-levy ba yɛyi ɛho nsɛm abɛyɛ bebree yɛkukuru 1.75% mopo yɛde bɛba yɛnso yɛmpene ma mofa ma montwɛn san monyɛ no 1.5 yɛbɛ no 1.5% yɛn 1.5 okay bi yɛ firi mahyɛ bedwam yɛbɛsan kɔ ne yie ne asan de aba ɛho nsɛm bebree abɛpɛ bebi a yɛduru yɛ ɛna yɛkasa yi sɛ e-levy yɛne bebi edu 2 e-levy ba yɛ no ɛho da wobɔ ɛne ho nsɛm kae kamea sɛ do we yɛgyegye nyinaa ɛne yɛde da so nyinaa ɛne yɛ messiah sɛ yɛsi kasa ɔman de bɛtumi agyina no ɛno ɛne e-levy ana ɛde yɛhwɛ the political implications ɛwɔ saa mmerɛ yɛ yɛde bɛyɛ a ɛkamea sɛ obiara nso ɛkasa de fa ho yi mɛsan hyɛ aseɛ afiri wo so ɛsan sɛ mede political awura mu no nti no wohwɛ amanyɔsɛn mu no ɔkwan a aban ne fa so ɛde e-levy no ho nsɛm ɛbaayɛ parliamentarians posture government spokespersons posture the minority posture posture ɛne wɔne a aka nyinaa ɔkɔ ɔfa so kasa fa ho no wogye di sɛ bibi to sin ɛwɔ baabi anasɛ sia na ɛsɛ yɛkɔ no nti asɛ ne yɛnya anasɛ dɛn
yo medase sɛ yɛhwɛ e-levy ne background na ɛbaeɛ no as to whether say looking at it from maybe that political perspective say nka maybe they could have done it in a better way and in a different way. I think say e-levy no the way na ɛhyɛ ase no I think government no anye omo anye nka was say the way na omo a consultation even before coming to parliament no wo say wo share your parliament no a make us studio ha make be say I think it was just about a week after the election na ye na me aha na make be say parliament na hang parliament na ya nya no e be hia say the majority side no atem bia no was say omo minority no omo ekasa they have been doing that in the past but say no abeye said that 137 any one independent you know consensus building idea and betumi a movie your friend saying a nation forward to make I say there was one person from the MPP said no so how can we build consensus with the NDC for them so if you are not ready to do that then it means that you'll be facing problems along the line and chebia na e-levy nsemi so budget no ni nyina say e from the budget na but the key issues na I'm say 5 or 6 na bi na e-levy no ka ho so the point is say e dey na ye hu say government na also omo consultations omo ye town hall ni na e dey nti na omo anye before even the time na budget no ebeba parliament It's the failure of the government to recognize, say, Parliament na year what say no. It is not like the past Parliament na year 169 members of Parliament. NDC 106. Say achim. So, wo ko Parliament wo the policy be na wo the be equal Parliament. It means that you know, one year numbers, 1 year if I say even independent you are likely to lose because two things echo etia government. One, or make me akoro vote na government no lose it. And now say echo pai mukura it is still deemed as say omo lose it. So two things. So nyanka wo say nka omo no I think omo anye no eno na edi abedru pempensu because we the first time nukura na almost introduce here now almost budget statement in the first economic policy no and now almost working out and my NDC for enya that you know and they almost vote here later on no right about a week time or less than that and I say by any so I think that enka was nema enka was almost almost anye no and then aduru so it is bibia I was government, you know, because we still have about 3 years or something to go. And I was saying, yes, some lessons from near ASI. So after our echo hit, you know, after now, try said they want to build consensus with the NDC and at that time, you know, NDC is one taking a particular position, say this particular 11, you know, a constituency say it is not going to help them, so they are going to. They are not going to give them the AE. But the fact is, say, may they be a say, generating resources within is the most sustainable way and can be to me abua or mine. Say, instead of say, funds no do not from outside, someone from Babuay and can to me mobilize internally and no a sustainable way. But I think in doing so, no. Say titru say be levy and taxation no I was say who consider na bebre titru say developing economy to say Ghana say no crofo dodo no engine yi poverty levels ni eyi so some of the taxes and as levies are more the eba no they should have maybe considered say ebia this is what is going to happen so ebia say ebia instead of maybe from 100 Ghana cedis no ebia no more peg ebia maybe 500 Ghana cedi or something you know. And it's about we introduce even say it is going to affect microphone or more bread that. Na say also introduce levy it is not going to offense I think say idea anka emwa. Nti throughout you know to me say we share some of the studies now around man from some of the I think this central university some lecturers conducted research apart from that some of the known media houses so every post ni I suggest to say Ghana for say omumpe levy. So if about 85%, 90% say reject say they don't like it. I think say withdrawal now because in 1995 now introducing VAT no the same thing at the pressure I mean at that time your man Penya Nana Akufo-Addo no so a leading figure in the fight against VAT at that time. No na offense NDC for a withdrawal. Until somewhere in 1998 also na almost recorded packaging no and na almost edibuy and then to since then no VAT na beboa first both the NDC and the MPPA nyina the resources eba so once baby I could do this level now man for general to say omumpe 11 no in my candidate view because one it is also making the government unpopular about because if you have about 90% even Central University for lecturers now more study no omo even indicate say majority nkrofo no kra omo omo I say both NDC and MPP no do no kra na omo MPP for no kra no say omo mpe 11 no omo kra do so say even the NDC for na omo so it means that a year was say omo go back they should go back reflect repackage it in a way now man for that to be acceptable to the Ghanaians and I say if they can have other you know I do not think say 11 to me we don't have ideas we cannot think to come out with new things to me generate resources that will be acceptable to Ghanaians so two ways either they will withdraw it completely and come out with other means and now say they can go back repackage it in such a way say to be acceptable the people. Yes.
Utie brasha she buy no. Asamba kwa from ampani kura so waka ade ba kwa ampani na nado dan kokufa do kan ye bra obeye ampani che se ihye ba kwa de ba ne se industrialization ye be free numa and afi Ghana beyond 8 eno ye de ba kwa na ye mantra bia na ne nya bre pass obetumi se waka wasamo a so betumi adru sabota he no enti Ghana beyond 8 no eno sunsanso bi eni ewe ayeye ebi ebetumi bo ampani che se sai sika ebetumi nya no from ye level no ebebo a projected sika I hwe say the sebetumi aka enti sa projected no either ye bedru hu ye benya ye nya ye bebro so enti agitation se koso eba 1 you know wo hwe assume that admitting po say yetumi gitumu a do you think say sa projected target na ban ka say wo hwe say sebetumi aka ne sebetumi aka
I think say omo betumi if I say omo nsa betumi aka. So what you say about 6.9 or even say 7 billion now we are possible say or me aka maybe in a year, right? But the fact is as to whether say is it no and a bit to me abe solving your problems like the way now sometimes you free about paying for bill and as a party and you say oh you hear ya 11 kura e free SHS yent me I mean tama na ban no promise Obama free SHS na nyina so wo may free me bo na okay so at that time one catch say e bia ye na betu ya e-levy da o dia free so by na menu ka say the bid wa e free say you promise free kura at that time na wo ehia mu no need no but dan a e kire obi beba abetu ya so for me I think say it's possible say at least say on me to me anya that amount no but I do not think say it is the only means aban betumi enu kwa na omamfa so a omuntumi engerate resources ometumi ahia ometumi ayi because one thing is there was omuhun say decisions be will take no wo ye ama yetima mufo no so if people are saying say they be at this particular time no yempe I think that politically to be politically wise say omu go back to reconsider certain things na omu esan eba yes
me dan say also onyen ko consider na yensan emra na yenhwe say ebetumi ayi ade amoman no a eno ye ne dia wode aba mame ko sompa so na mbisa sompa sompa
ja
de di kan Ghana for obi say pekasa ade ne ba ye kan ho gidi so say ye nya brete na senaka ye hwemu yi a we so o ade betumi aboa obi e ka say oman bia tua to no de hye oman no wo hwe amanfo treat omo treat ya ebinu che say Ghanaians don't like to pay taxes because they don't see what they do with their tax money. 2 Ebra yi levy by you know. Maybe sir unia say the posture of the government. Said you see kind of fire. Finance minister some more kind. Ministers in some more moka. I can say our hope, our only hope. I go kweli levy no. Say you levy na ma. You timi to contractor for ka. You levy na ma, you timi fertilizer ma. Ekuyafo. You live in number, you to me said your kind of education. I become from facing a high you to me and finance it. You live your mind, you to me in your way. You live your mind, you to me in your way. You live your mind, you to me in your way. And as social Sika, say, I should feel you live 1 year to me, they are more mano, a jan and answer now. $7 billion Ghana cedis, no. And no baby, I was a car, yes, sir, no, Fibia. I told you this, sir. Ya kama na bro so do ya ha ya ni e ka 11 no asem say 11 na messiah no ya mana hu do anase sanka ye okwa be sanka so sanka ye faye e de ye ya anka ye medrum pepe so anka na ye dure
eja me da say nkomo we no need no aye bibi because they say no I come here say e di nkomo de bia Ghana no come here say aye no MPP ni MD say nkomo but I no so na say nkomo nyina no because as a intimate in command and I've heard rhetoric suggests say umpe ile na e kame akoyeza oye mamboni opese o man nembo but means me nkwama dwumna means su sesa nete because okay budgets no in totality yes you be raise 100.5 billion 100.5 billion no 11 ni kan ho but even after that no yenim say sika you be spend total expenditure about in terms of budget no sika you be spend about 107 billion so there is a deficit already to be no it's actually 135 billion you mean 100.5 billion now you spend 135.6 billion so already you started budget now yenya e-levy sika ni nyina akra we're running a deficit of about 36 odd billion in common on one side of it Ghana o hwe yenya I was say ye adwuma na it's supposed to be about 60 million people but almost about 2 million people in their taxes into nipa dodo na in their taxes that's one conclusion but question I'm busa on that conclusion is does it also probably a suggested dependency ratio ana in one bit na yaka say omo maka ni into your taxes ana say the senior tier poten is omo maka ni ni adwuma ye and if I were hazarding a guess can make us say is omo into your taxes is more a signal of omo ni adwuma ye rather than omo into your taxes because me sure say yeah wa nyina anye bia no there's one or two persons that are dependent on your income ewo dem inti the conversations on taxes no yes omo kind census now can 30 million now you less than 15 years now you over 60 years now here more than 50 now can say 16 million people now say tier taxes into me ratio of income to GDP I'm 12%, but I would say 16% for an average economy like ours. But don't forget why you're rebasing a few times. The implication of rebasing has real quantities. Into the question, they say, "Omaino sikasem and I susu say suchen senior a tier on the ground and these are questions I'm asking. But you're not reducing now. Who say these deficits, even with e-levy, will still run a deficit. Now, if our debt is around 335 billion, that's the total debt. Now, the deficit plus e-levy, say another 7 billion to add to the deficit because there also a finance budget. Then the question is, e-levy will it become a solution? In one part, a better year so. But the question is 135 billion now also will be used. Yenimsa Abanka said he would drop expenditure, cut expenditure about 20%. Yeah. But I think the signal of this e-levy back and forth, they say, I think largely people are just saying, we don't trust what you use the money for. If you ask me, that's the bottom line. Sebi, Niamudis can be no. Ye ebia de dika nipa bebre eni for real and now already the incident of this tax say na meka no yeah wa ha no people depend on us say me me or bro 60 years say me send this guy come na me media matua our tax no message 11 no me nua wa wie university a onya nya adwuma nya ye o send this guy come na yes he's in the bracket also ye adwuma but onya nya adwuma into send this guy come na wo de an no so in common aid no nya say we just think say it needs to be structured a bit more I would say a jane kwai be fa so a be no in a more productive way ensign for burden and to more mutia dada no so because otherwise you'll be overburdening or more mutia tax dada no the incidence of the tax will rise and it goes to enye emfaso amanya wo misika so is sikana nkasa on the face value now or tax it. Into say last mekan no say me 100 cedis 100 nka ho into me fan say me 200 cedis na me send my papa we are sika no answer na ndru no ho no ebeye less by 1.75 or no send it without any economic value in between or no send it the akanamawa it will go down or send it mawa it will go down. And so we should ask ourselves, say, transaction volumes, no, which one is really the value of e-business, no? Because volume ain't your value. Until you can say ABI wallet, send a till wallet, so then probably you're quantifying the value of the transaction. But your minimum said they're making what I say. Until then we'll be estimating value rather than determining it on volume. Because out of the volumes, no, you bet taxi capital. And amount for sika or mukuta so better. Martin Komono offer baby to say, if even we assume, say a taxi capital, the average person on the worst case, say be about 3,000 in a year. And now on the average, maybe just about 25 CDs on a year. Until that value is not significant for an individual in order to warrant all this noise about it. Again, I think say Ejina for once. We need to harmonize these laws a bit more. I would say say now we organize it a bit more because I think that the incident of the taxes and how it's going to affect mutual taxes that I know. It may be as simple as 25 cedis, but so be any 1,005. Now the person is barely making a living. The caution so and 1,005 is almost about the average income for Obiawa University. Between 1,005 and if you're lucky, 2,005. Or be a young person at Obiawa University. Rent in my TNT in my into the 1,005 no, and so the natural standard of living to start with. Into Saoka say 25 cedis spare. It looks say a pay, but a becane. Senior TSSI no the person cannot survive. In the Mrs. said we should look at Makase, Mimi Mrs. said, yet a chair of mine, yes, taxes are important, but Mimi Mrs. said productivity is what drives a nation. A year Juma near Juma Hunsuns and so, which grows the GDP, and out of the GDP, the tax incidence rises. The focus on productivity should absolutely be prime. I know said one district, one factory is supposed to be one of the incidents. Those are private people who are supposed, but again, Sanya not tax waivers, no, any tax exemptions, no, on those private entities. Again, it comes to who finances. Until me scan out there and me baby as part of my negotiations, make I say, tax I wasn't me changing wavy. So we end up waiving taxes on very high productive values for foreigners who end up taking the money out. And the incidence of, I would say a bit more holistically. But I think the data is quite clear. Say Ghana for, and there are a couple of researchers I've seen. The data seems to suggest that Ghana for thinks that this is not the right time or the right approach. Beer, yetia, boy.
Yeah, share said and I me bisa you know the o man your man bia ye hia bibia ye kan bibia aso ye tumi nye bibia ye tumi ade ya dwene si bibi so say ye nya we ayepe na ye de kasa na hye de bebre me kana say ya cake bi ba bonten ye say ye levi cake anya onipa hunu bia kekese majority leader in parliament odi the birthday na the birthday no eye cake eye controversial levy omode ba obi ani abere eka ho sem no eno na eye sake amafo kire say odi ho faw ebi no so kire so na se we agro we nye eyi bia wo hwe sade na ba ye no a adwembe na beba nkofo tim so we esese ye dey joke ana say esese ye fa the serious say he made a mistake eso ba no be pagana for chose we no e bi agro bi na medi na mo e bi I say no we anya hwe ni aprapra ne sa akeke
Agya meka say if whether you're doing it in jest and I say you're serious no the interpretation is not with you it's with their all TNO Inti say maka say oh pen way sebi o tuntum.
Yes.
Tuntum so de nkenya de pa. Me sebi. Say me kasa e bi amididi agro. But what would you know you have the right of interpretation. Say me didi agro and I say many abreno. How you understand this is entirely a different conversation. Into me, sure say be fan say oh I grow, but be so be fan say nkoma ye ni abra ye di na wodi e ho fel. Whatever the fall is, I think say politicians have a way of reading the climate, and there baby ye polls of popularity and I say ye polls on or minor say na ye cast a percentage. ABI because or 61% or 51. In terms of a binomial, me sure so your polls are from first election the massive support and how people rallied around. I'm sure say if we do a polls we'll get the sentiment of what is sitting out there, and that polls, if it's independent of party A or party B, it will probably guide them in some of the conversations. But as to whether say amount for edi hu ya na say or make us say agro is absolutely left to the interpretation of the person. But ebe affected wo in terms of your perception index, and I say how a nipa beji watum no. So the question is, fan hu ni say ne be see affect your perception index there, then by all means the agro now be serious. But the point is, how has it affected Albino and his acceptance among the populace? Me assure some yes our poll now. Maybe we can have a more forward-looking conversation.
Okay. But that's Destiny in Caribbean said, Kwabena, good morning. It is absolutely ridiculous that out of 16 million workers, only 2 million pay taxes. I think the e-levy is the way forward, so that we all benefit from our own pocket. Then we can determine what we want from the government. All Ghanaians want is the government to wipe their backside every time. Emmanuel Moonston, also please in Ghana, everyone pay taxes. Government get most of its taxes from indirect taxes. And Free Senior High School is funded by oil revenue, not taxes or foreign loans. Agya, name 10 one district, one factory now. What about our natural resources? Drop that e-levy. Joe, question, I say good morning to you all. Sometimes I wonder the kind of leaders African have. Ghana, we have gold, sun, diamond, oil, bauxite, sea, land, rivers, timber, cocoa, and other resources. So all this cannot make Ghana great except e-levy. Our leaders need to rethink of this. I'm Joe, question from Agona Swedru. And I didn't idea dropping. Bra, come on, bra. Na bra. Who have been what did you pa? Yes, or quite fast to in general Ghana and yes, no crasa. I said you levy about baby shame. And there were other source of a year, I bet me a day a jet tour. Yabu and Yaguso. A bit which I said this kind method that you see a day a jet tax a lazy man's approach, and in somehow do be brave. Or quite fast to jet to a man. Would you say at the same a year? And yet, say, yeah, I didn't know any, nothing young to us.
Meba na minyano me kasa na me pay TBB FNO building trust
GTA
Agya Kwabena yeti hei na ye fa ne say ye je sika wa ha sesia na ebedi ubotomu a ye say 10 cedi na 40 cedi ye de ahye won sa say ye be didi wom ye ko ye ko to aduane ahwe amanfa mandwene anko bebiri ono so na ahwe ono ne phone di agoro ye wie ekire no ye nko fa sika ne mbra na wo say o ye emo na ye di ye no ene nsuo ne ye no me ye ne nti no 30 cedi ko oh enso ye hwe dokno ye di dokno mienu pe mi dokno ya han nchina me ya han se ochina ye be sika ne bio ma hwe a obeka se de bi me fa sika ne ma bio
because you need
na se o pese o hele sa de na o sa ho yare fe sa de ru a me mobro aba me so maka sen bi se 3 C's. Communicate, collect, and communicate. Oba pesa oba chireme se oba je to say. Oba when you are that wa beje how you collect it say out me atua oka. Sa na me nyoka chirem sa na me nyina wi a. Oba beje eto no so oba je so a collect with a human face. Mr. Kan collect with a human face. Obi di dwa na obetie sike ya hia or store. Ono nkwa no di dwa o. Ontimi sole ma nti so ye za befo fidie ya ni tia no na abo wa no ama no collection na wa improve no na uwi aska na ojeje ye no when expending no wo be ese osamba na o ka kire ye se me di ye we ni offer tie yie pa na ye koso Ghana no ti mamufo no se ye no mo embu nkonta yie ene ni 11 asem we no nti enye amanyoko ba ko asem na omo ka no akoye unfortunate say akotwa se say akoye MPP apenso ena akoba ni say na timamufo ne ka bibi say ne mujeje ye ayeye Fourth Republic ya ye sika mujeje ye nya ne ama amode ye no muni ye embu hu nkonta sa on so ka che oba se uni sika na osanso hu so kra 100 cedi wo botomu a na odin se on pese obema ni sika no enkyerɛkyerɛmu na waka kyerɛ no me papa kreska do star na mehwɛ ne botom pa sika gum na ɔsɛ on kreska na maintenance to baski ma na ɔsɛ uni sika ahwe sika na ese ade ese nkyerɛkyerɛmu ni hia na ma menka nsɛm kakra mfa e-levy mu e-levy ɛyɛ abɛfo so ifidie ɛso ɛtoɔ bi a yɛde ba na okɔ woni ma ɛnyɛ momonko a o sɛ bank so sika guo so uyi bi dia ma obi a ɛno so yɛbɛgye otoɔ na obɛkɔ woni no yɛsɛ taxing the digital economy ɛyɛ paa sɛ ɔmo bi ebi mu yɛ ɔmo adwuma ɛwɔ abɛfo fidie no so sɛ tɔnatɔn bɛkye na obi sɛ ɔno so tɔn dan na ɔde abɛtɔ abɛfo fidie so na ɔtɔn yɛn a yɛwɔ CSO no yɛn a yɛyɛ research ni ama no yɛn krapo yɛ de yɛn nsɛnsɛm bɛtu ɔkras na aban de bɛtum sɛ debi a mekɔ city a na mekɔ kan of TV so sɛ yɛn taxi the digital economy ɔmo a mekyerɛ no ɔmo tɔn adeɛ edi dwa wɔ no na ɔmo no ɔmo ntɛnti na yɛpɛ sɛ ɔmo yɛ den yɛkyi ɔmo ba expanding the tax net sɛ ɔbie tax ɔmo betua no na ka ɛnkɔ farm ɔmo nso yɛ den ɛmmerɛ mu bi ɛno nti na yɛkɔ kan yɛ no unfortunately sisi ano approach na yakɔfa no ɛde nsɛm bi aba multiple taxation sisi ami nya bɛɛ ma kan yɛ akɔba sɛ me no na me tua tax ma MTN dada o sɛ service na ɔma me no na me ma no sika ɔma me ɔgye me charge ɛna bank for no so yɛ obi efɛn bank charges ɔno so gye yɛ na saa sika no nyina ɔboaboa ɔgye wɔ me ne wɔ ha ɔboaboa no a aban bɛgye income tax fim nti na aban gye saa sika no ho tax dada na afei no wagye anu awie no sika aka ɛwɔ me wallet mu a mede ma me maame ɛna me nua bɛ ma kan yi ɛnyɛ dwa na me di o mede ma me maame remittance abrewa ɔno so kakra nkoto eduru no fa bi didi no na afei aban se ɛno so no ɔsan so abɛte ho tax no de ayɛ den ɛde egum nti ɛhɔ no na multiple taxation no ɛde asɛm kakra ɛba no ukɔ anim nso a sɛ ɔbɛkan retake of reliefs wonim sɛ ka yɛte nyinaa no ɔkan asɛm pɛfɛɛfɛ bi sɛ yɛwɔ nkɔfo bi a they depend on us ɔtwiri yɛn ne nyinaa bɛma yɛkan a wɔwie school ɔnyɛ adwuma ɔtwiri wo o maame ne o papa ɔmo so ɔmo twiri wo o ma ɔhwɛ ɔmo school ɔtwiri wo nti ka aban nhyɛ bi wɔ GRA nhyehyɛ mu sɛ yɛbɛyɛ sɛ yɛma yɛ reliefs ɛgya kɔrɔ mi yɛ sure paase ɔnkɔgye wo deɛ da wakɔgye wo deɛ da sɛ ɔhwɛ nkwala o school nkwala no ɛsɛ ka aban ɛde kakra ma wakɔgye da onje ɛsɛ kɛmɛ obi saa sɛ o papa no maame a wɔhwɛ ɔmo so no kɛsɛ ɛma ɔho relief onje obi wɔ ne ho tɔ kyima kakra disability wey say ɛsɛ ɛno so yɛma ɔho bibi nkɔfo dodo na nkɔgye obi so aka woyɛ wɔ adwuma kakra yi wobɔ sika no sɛ wobɛkɔ akɔyɛ school course akɔ anim kakra ɛsɛ ɔkɔgye relief ɛho to wɔn fa kakra oh ɔfa ɔnkɔgye ɛno no ɛno afe sɛ menkɔgye ɛno na mesa so di sika na kɔ ma me maame no yɛsa so bɛgye ho taase na twi kasa wo so kasa yɛ ka bibi sɛ wonye sika ma wase a wo sa so kɔbɔ no korɔ no menkɔgye relief no yɛsa so abɛgye me sika no mu bi ɛno so yɛ asefem sisi a ne wohwɛ a yɛyɛ etu abanfo no sɛ ka ɔhwɛ ɔmo di dwa nankasa wɔ abɛfo fidie no so no ubonso obi di abeto so oton shoes na nkrofo start yɛn ni akyire na yɛhwɛ no ontue bi omo na yesi kan abefu no so no ka ban infa na ni nko corona ba ye online go for do na jai omo stores afi do mo dia ba abefu no so uko gina store kra na oto ade kra say ahwe kra ye hwe omo ye no online order no omo na omo ye edwa na eden eko ni mo omo nti omo hwe omo uba sesi ade ehia pa ne say onhwe sa mbia no na me risk say niama say aban anhwe ni yi a ebe abebem a emwa yen sesi a ye betimi akose say omo ye momo wo mo ti kwan yin uka say ye di betu dwa say ye be ye 11 na ehun ka beba bi no be say na miensa bi mu no nkofo go yi o musika ten e ma fe na muko we news item me show UTV say na mo ka say nkofo yi o musika wan o musuro saa de no e be san akoso evi say amani aman bi ete say Uganda ne na mo ye saa 11 year bi e kire no mbete so ebi mu kra de omu nu omu nti saa target na obi say say e benya no me metufo I'm not menye dum say ya menye obi a meka bone amaman no ba nia unya efam no enye say oso kofa one efe wonsa nti me kire wo say oya eso bete na say aban ahwe ni ya saa nkrofo mu eduma ebe kofom ana ebi mu kra enya bi enye biom e say nkofa amba biom a me a momo eduma na me de no me gya na oso akotene fie ne ekoye nima uba service provider say teleco no say me ka kire wo say obi say MTN o gigigigi yen service tax e fa sa abefo ni ama yiso no na oje 1% deda uni say sa 1% na abanya ni chefa bi wom because oje the 1% a ni corporate profit no abanya ba ko je no so ni kakra wom se si anya ko yini anya sa transactions ni ye sa edwadi na sika na ye tofa abefo fide so ama ye ma me biom na wanya ni 1% na ye sa aban usika no ebe to fom
we ni fa so na attack so nyina so beti
ono ni teleco
aban ne to no so okoje attack no so
beti enti just ono ne de no ete no na aban so de eden enti se target na wase ete no mpo no dada na wo je no kra po no se ase target na ko ye yi a dada no so na wunya no eno so beti ene no kra na se me kan kra te bi o mo se 3 billion down for dada kakra ya ye bedi we say ahon agro kakra ye de kun omo kun parliament se sia no say ye be pass ana ye pass no effect abadada wo nti enya me na enya me numu bekuru aba binti mi beka bibia meme ekuguda me for doctor for ni me dey master's degree mi do omo be go meji ni akakra me kan won say wo ko onim na wan hwe ni yi a de be ba ne say bako enkwara ye nya ma na na omo nya adwuma ya omo ko tena yellow kiosk no omo ye mumu no omo be wa betena fie omo lusi job na oba so a NTN na ono so eje ne 1% dada no ono so yenso ya nkoso bebria ne profit no onya na wo aban ne so ko a uba akotwi kakra fi ono eno so wo so de so be den eso be ba fom yenko yenim unim se a discrete implication kakra be ba sa be fo scanner ne ye no na adwadifo no first om de sika chichire o ma ya se no de kodidwa se si asa udi obi ka obetua ka afa so ne nti no ono so e scanner mane a na afi akrofo yenfo na omukotwa omukwan so no ke no so be bra ase eso si awaye ne se bo se si ana akwa se so ofakai no this scanner ko se ohwe ni obehwiri a na onim se enye sika ni bia se bia nya na kan no enye bia be fa abefo no so no ene ye di ye business even though I'm a trader meje bidie on ho na meton na obema me bidie na obema kai ne dia abre me 1000 Ghana na maton bidie no meton ni wi a anhwa mini capital mi dwetere kra nti ode bidie no ebema wa de amane me de sika no ebe mane no uni bibi sa 1000 Ghana meton wi a me dia mfa so me nya be se
50 cedis
hey mama mo bre o ofa hey mama mo bre ye mama mo bre obi ton kutuo ekutuo na gu pa mo nya ya na hwa ne de no krapo ye de free no na osan wa ton kutuo na wie no o de scanner mane ekutuo de o de bre ne na oyi se scanner e de ko a o betimu profit no ai no nya 50 100 na osan betimu scanner enye de edwotere ne ye ne de na obeboka o ye mama ne no be den obeboka ntina ohieni no bibi e wo protocol say say you are deepening and widening the poverty and inequality gap ubema ehiafo no ebekoso edihia na esikafo no akoso ayede ayeye so no yetwi o enso ahaya ko bebi ne say won nsu ayo no yi ukọ Kempinski a bottle we no Come in me nam kwan wa me 105 yes so Jeff the open nsuo me ko ke keep nsuo me no 1 me te ho saa ma de asa me di agro da me no mienu a me mbo obo so me kire se me no mienu no me miensa ansha be no ye ko program kra Kempinski ye wie na lunch ye ndi lunch a me no ye be so ye yem ne aba abontene ye fe no gentleman walk no de aba abontene be talk Kofi Brookman no worry obi ante wonka na umma wakuma jejew na ofre se yembra chicken chips a ya ko bla opia e be asem fofo na onim se proposals aka me wo se aban onhwe na onhwe 11 no on fanton cheni no onhwe se niama we mu se eno beboa won tax exemptions am nya be maka ya no se eto on fache e boya ka pa
tax exemption dey ma multinational companies e ba Ghana ha
e ja ko bla ho na too good worker
obi ani ho
one obetu wayele fa ho na oboka
obi ani ho
onu no e be bie ejuma o kuro ma o ma no eto ho fache kan na ya de ewi wonim kan wo mko sa apono no ho am nyawa me sa meja ma omo ni security fa no ko kasa se wo man mu no asunye wa ha omto mo be ejuma one oba go be business for Afghanistan
obi anko
enti uba local raw materials you gold you diamond se bobobo e nyina enti gold nti na oba no nya wo nti na oba u gold nti na wo fa nti na oba yi na uko last one na friend human capital cheap labor uba ye nkro fo ti manufo ye pa adwuma ye be ye adwuma ye be boa wo de no kwa ye na tax exemption na wo kan kra po no ni aye ko yi kra sisi amene wo kan yi kra po no kra no exemption regime no multinational enterprises akuku dem akese no omu di yedem yo bibi efe no e free zone so efe no exemptions no ye ma no 10 years ye ma no efie du na oye adwuma efie nkron pe no asesa din no afa na mata oba ye no so efe no kojo smith enso oye adwuma no ko nanim kakra wo company bi a wa ya no best in France Ghana ha
na so wasesa say 20
wasesa na sa na we twa fa ho eno no ye tax avoidance nye tax evasion nti odi ni nyansa e na yi afa ho na ne kraka o exemption ho no say in the year 2018 no Ghana GRA ma tax exemption 5.6 million anchored through parliament nti si ane o card be a tax exemption bill at the parliament ada o mfem yenu nie ekuo mienu yi levy de omoko ho so eno sa krata no a be ma ye hwe si a exemptions nyama ya hwe hu ye no eno de just omunhu ye yam se nya no kan da eno de omunhu ye na o ye expanding the tax net se si a unim se ye koye nim no e nkofo bi e se obia etua tax no ye se na ebe twa omu abem se aban hye for no mo be tax ni GRA one registered dealers department bank for any online platform eye bako eye adwuma no network na nkofo e so mu tua tax nya ye twa omu nyina o register awo adwuma na register journal de ama GRA na omo nya santie ho na omo abawo aben na omo abejeje sa tax no uba so a ubeka bibi efe bibi illicit financial flow nya no boso kakra edi ye dem papa enye Ghana nko awo Africa loses close to 80 billion year bia etika ye twa ni hwe illicit financial flow se krona nkofo boy no nko anka ke hia class e ba ko free scale bia o bebi ha na wo ko onim de efe bibi transfer pricing ubo se company kese na oba so obeye adwuma wa no o mother company nti se me be kire mu a emfa ne se UTV mu din kese de ye den despite media na despite media tie amanone na nkito na UTV wa ha na ba ko bi okuma se
Hello FM
me da se okoto bibia amudie se microphone amudie modwuma na ongoto amanone bibia oba koto mother company no na se amanone ye to no be se 10 cedi a ogoto mother company obeto 30 cedis ye friend transfer pa no de twiska no bi afem e de akọ enya sakwa so
na se ade na water no eye 10 cedis o na so sense water no ne mother company to oto no 30 cedis na se 20 cedis ankese so nkode ba betumi ehu say ye to no no de afam
ko afem ko na okọ mu a asem bi si efa sa illicit nyama yiwu in the year 2018 no oman paying to kwan ko United Arab Emirates na omom nkrata emu no gold afia no aba omom man 7 billion enso Ghana nkrata emu wa na 2 billion
wow
wonem ne ntia ho no ukoduru ho na wambu nkonta pa ebe yitie fi so punishment the punitive measure is
5 billion difference
yes and you lose tax on 5 billion to over 5% of 5 billion ya hwere so wonya says Ghana saka 10 million Ghana cedis scrap a esku adan aka ebetime sie fi no enu nko am sa afi no nko a eno so di yedem Yanko fast as can sombra. Now so who effectively and efficiently collect rent and property rate. Sikebia, ya na me ntiase adentia aban enye. Obi abesi dan. He minim obi a odon enya Ghana ni kra pa odon the apartment obesi yen 16 apartments or the best 2,500 a month multiply no eje tax ya kesa aban so nya ne de kakra afim. Obi anko obi anye enti no when dey abasa no sa real estate industry no sa nkofo no e ka omo asem inhyase no say omo no omo sika ko political party mu no omo no na omo kreska puduo no na omo akosa industry no nti aban ka so omo tax exemption na me bu yefu na ye ka say affordable housing offer afford kire me ba ko a ye boy a wo wetimi akoto affordable housing no kire me ba ko pe a obi esi bi a auto affordable housing and less than 50,000 Ghana cedis. Na Ghana for ahin etemi nyu abe maka yi omo ketia ye ka ketia wasem na omo bo figure na me yem timi to me enra all respect to Minister of Finance enra me hu video bi now say ubu Ghana ni bi aketia roughly unya best 100,000 a year Jacob na misrew ka obi timi ka kire me nya yesre no eto de bi a commode na wadu mu ebo wo se ya na oti bebi na oti nkita wo bi a hajwe say aka say me manko school ni bia na ana boni be na maye wo se bible ye say o mama ye boni bi o papa ye boni bi na den na titnem ti say what you say na say mako school na obi wo wa chop pen doctor pa ro ti wa chop pen na ye ni total na ndu 30,000 you tag for the na wo 100,000 say o pe baby o boy na wa ma na kuma ko baby say say media crowd here o ndu baby aka nti ye ko enu ohwe ho no na oba expanding the tax base bi nya na ka kakra expanding the tax base answer na obeji to no ma weni so nko ejuma obebiebie say obe skills training education curriculum no kire insanu juma bebre ne say obi ka say ogosua insanu juma ye mu no ebasere no uko UK ni amano Europe ni America wa omo ye insanu juma no mdidi adentia omo you see obo gold ni diamond ni amano na mehwe say the value addition Ghana ni Cote d'Ivoire you see afena nyina ye body yeso omo no ye gold cocoa pa ema enso uka you see nyina sika ba cocoa enyuma emu a ye mienu we nya less than 10% adentira ebesi ne ye titi cocoa a ye hata wi a ye la ko she bottom
ye kwaje bisi akra de background say na beto cocoa
onim na o de she bottom no mu a anka bottom no kra po de kan ye ja cocoa na menu so e dia na kan bottom no kra so ye ko ekoto from amano ne da be ye cocoa ndi akọ so me can say me will get emotional because she me say ye dia so kai say nra na ye wo gold na ye wo goldsmith
goldsmith
won bi won kra biom won bi wo kuma se omo won just a generation of business
wiped out
asiegu adenta ya say ye fa ye ni nhwa obiom entika gold ni kra po ye 2 ye no ke de ye asomade ye se ya na oni mo ye fa ba ko pet value chain cocoa no ka o ye tete a o hata wi a beans no ye poto no ye motomoto na eno so omo ye djuma bebem omo be soa no so motomoto na ko factory the other side na ya twene na ye diska milk ni bibi kaka afem sa de ma nyina omo so na oni abefo na chi na obi obe ntroye ne ne ama no e paper na ye de betaliko eno so ye djuma omo so omo ye wi a omo ba be sa koton enti wo se wo be wi eche no value chain no edjuma bebebre security man benye edjuma driver for wom cleaners wom sa ne ma nyina no sa edjuma no nhihye akopie mu amano ne nti ye de ni de ni aba ne se ye de
ye so ade koma omo
proculture hona wonim se Ghana ni o efi ha MP na we lose ni akonya eko Nigeria eko boa omo ene emo ayefre na emo no they are independent and so now ye import na oko wonim syntaxes se bone eto eno no fa tobacco efa alcohol wonim say COVID by president Beka say bia o say and omo na omo NCD underlying disease no omo ori insani wi siscalate ni wi a na yare no untumi wi ni mo nti na akoye say aha no mpomudie sika no ese kosoro kakra nti ye de ka no say matase no enkosoro o matase kosoro pan usika o de hwa ayaresa wo benya bi wo
yes you bone na eba say great ni na sefo no ye ma great to no
nkosoro umma so pe no wo benya sika revenue beba umma so pe consumption be kolu na make no kan nhyase ne say nsuo we ka nyam kwan ho a one cedi no mato mienu miensa mienu enso ebo no kosoro pe consumption be belu na ma wo bon say e ka no crowd ba ko hesa disease that ko form reduce expenditure hono de ya na ye kan na aban beso beti na kire say aban bi o ba bi a o ka sa expenditure say mu ipe na neni nje ho adantia o party say omusika na o de ya ade no omunte so obi abeka ti so de yesi de bi nya ye kire ne say sika no budget ho so sensem nyama mensa na besi say wo ko risk ni ba abegum udi begum wi a say obedi udi wi so a encontabu sa nyama mensa we want me anye ni yi party say wan ko ni yi na okọ wani mi say reintroduce luxury tax won say mpen bi e ba ye no na ye say ye be ye vehicle luxury tax bi tax bi akeye pa a very good tax but see omo bench na anye yi se ka so omo de to the value of the car any fittings na work car no tesi wow papa di Bugatti unim bibi ono no ode ne ho na sa ankrofo no wo ben na wo be konkronkro no so no ye fa bibi consultation so no be din kita ho na wate ase se oh na onim omo so eya woni on ko design kita ho no o izo ni fefefe unim se nyame bible mu kra Jesus hostel sankrofo 12 de just selection bibi a mu selection wo mu enti wo be ko akoye bibi se tax wo maso no omo no mo preferential treatment bi se ka ewura ye ba se be take fingerprint ni agi bibi DVL ni ma no ono ye say ono ntua 1000 ana ontua 10000 wo say ontua 1000 Ghana ka obetua na ye ya ka obetua 100 na 200 ye so obetua no but umma sahabe ma no ama na ho akakra o say na bedwem ye ba na ye say o bejo na obe o mo ma na konya mo be ba konya so afi bi ani akonya no so enso ne ye ho na kakra ye sa ne ama ne fa ngitas no na obi a okasa aka akese no yenje omo tax na omo so huntua oni omo kasa ye omo betua me wa metie 97 am go to enra for prestige no ye se yenye 200 am nye skeni enso se metie ase pa ne ye de koye na obebu hu konta metua no na se ohwe state owned enterprises a am bisa Agya kojo yenya ti epono hin wa sisi yi se ka company CBA papa de aka obekoso se company a oboka na de bia wo to MD odaso no on de na ketia nda o de a seka ye special arts company ya ye na ka papa pin powder no na factory for no ye seka e benya 1000 Ghana ni nya 300 da after 3 years e be down special arts and so state owned companies omo bokama ye sa na de bia no ye tua ho ka nti se wo hwe ne mo ye amabobo be se 12 na 13 nyina na seka ban twa na ni hwe ho yie no ye sa ne ma ni yie a eno so no ba ne ye no be hwe corruption a o kan sem bi men twinsan e ho no pa de san ko biom 12 billion ope 8 billion kapo 7 billion yen 8 billion and so ushiri 12 billion eguru say yaboka now stand some tax exemptions and do the tax exemptions ebe bo corruption ebe bo high expenditure ho a nyama me nsen kra be kire say 6 billion ka uye uniama we nyina year kan ko die kire no
ke benya be 20 billion
ka obenya bibiri
na submission wo kan sem bi na twema dwene si bibi so many kofo bi di nkomo fi ha ya wo mo a AGF bi value chain asama kan ye no na eyabe na company no kire se pani ni kire se ono kra ni production kra no obetumi about 3 million metric tons of enwo every year na o kire mu no utumi se abenko asanke ni bre so oman na ke gina say okay one year in year emefui one man say amount tax exemption see na ka abeno wo de munkona munkodua ye man fertilizer ye mam se baba mu see dua odi dua okokodo opani okokodo no obenya adwuma ye dua odi abeno obenya adwuma ye dua dodo abeno ho no obenya adwuma ye dua onu abeno obenya adwuma ye dua osoa ede akobe bia ye bedwo no onya adwuma ye factory be no say ye nwuna wie by product to come mai ye nwuna ye say eti processes finally e bedru the last end no na say o kind me tina wodi tie na say eti say when nyina wo ho a what then are we still crying? Bro, until yes, sir. Me, tears, papa.
A selfish interest. A selfish interest. Obi wa or imported and we into or no fi amanoni ebeton. Into no almost na say me can almost sponsor political party. Into Uban say second if it be economic nationalism say aban be bibi no protect omo ye bi optimamu for na omo ye bi no na we gonna adanja benchmark insensement na ye kana e den tokwa ne ba e bi nie say niama kan ye wo krum ha no so de bi ba ye matas ne nkosoro papa na emma uso Nigeria ye bi ma mo nti o matas ne so na afi na obi antimi fa mo enko na afi edwuma na begu ekuaefo no so obi anko e no mo de am bedu bi mo
so one dey cry 3 years.
David
Agya, question I was who here pa me nsusu ye mu no kwan den ti na ye nim we nyina nso ye ntimi nye. I think that's your question. The decline pa me twen adwen akosin say your economics from the very beginning was an extractive economy. Inti the colonies were designed in economics. Twa sika mamo. And I share more economics for the purpose that muye bibia is a commodity factory. Indeed, the mube no the value addition enyaha. Muya near fako the colonizers for the purpose of translating into real value into the whole economic architecture from late 18th century, 19th century. Basically, ne yen kontabuo ni economics no ne fa pim potting said the baby and the extractor. Into now we are basically ne edwadifo ni omo mokofa beton no enya ska chain bibia because okasa obeye wa ha na waton wa ha I said the economic incidents are built such that one ya na unya the economics does not favor you. Into the first thing I was saying they say I was saying done your economic agenda no from a purely extractive economy to a value addition economy. And in because one district, one factory, for example, it still is a very brilliant idea because productivity, a juma na ode ba omanimu, and once you're adding value, the incident, say a juma no nipa bebre ne benya a juma until you grow your GDP. The also me answer mechanic say not only is productivity, you say SIGA and you mentioned state enterprises. You hear losses at state enterprises make here. I would say this uncommon ye. You know, because humanly be a losses at Wahano. In other places, those in Jumano are the foundation of some economies elsewhere. In the man is I inquired here, we see losses in those in Jumano. In the state enterprises, some things say, oh, I buy a Juma is obeying Juma. I buy a Juma is obey creating enabling environment. It's not the government's business to do business. If that orientation and philosophy is granted, if even you're not minded, say one can obey a Juma na, create the environment such that business, private enterprise will grow. The environment such that individuals can create jobs. I talk about make assembly. Minoka say 26th of February, your program you Sunyani Technical University, which is say a chain crowning and Juma. How do you technical school? How be translated to a Juma? We're doing it in all the technical universities in Ghana. Minoka na make say in Koma any anamwa ye two or home say we are empowering youth. Amomwati or modern say ye Juma. Even rallying support around projects like that, you will not get help. You will not get help from almost nowhere. But the question is, say, you ever said doctor, Ochen Krade. The question is, how do we translate the pure curricula of the Ocheno political science to say, oh, real political science now? How does it become useful to a minor? How do we build entrepreneurial mindset in the political science, in the social science, in the technical science, in the biological science? Yet, Maya J. Koho, na say you say school na ya kono say you to solve problems. minya certificate na mintimi mfa nya hwe a se bi nanka ma nkwa nanka mfa so so yen nyina enim enemrem nipa bebra wie school a wie school de ba sebi ebi a work no ton work so de nka ehia certificate ne that sebi o menka say work ton nya adwuma abusafo but the American say those things are paramount because ye say how do we train people to become useful school na icon how do we transpose it into real solutions into because school we are then na me de mensa be anasa skill na manya no then na me into ye nyina ye ko school we are na ya twen say ye benya adwuma if there are initiatives that are intended to help people transition into their own enterprises the environment is so difficult say answer na obi beye adwuma a be free zero a be dru ba bia nipa ko hu na empanyifo te say adwuma we dru I was say ebu omo na we respect them because to build an enterprise in Ghana enkomo no nya for sa
enkomo no nya for sampa Ben Kobi or say I love this kabuti ayo kabuti yo muchumka Musa Nuru say our only option of breaking the okay or the Ube yeah campaign. Yenia Birobra. I say Jacob Zwinis, I say the man in black is very smart and intelligent. And I say, OPK goes, I say Muhammad NDC alternative on the E-levy is IMF. It shows they are visionless and don't have any good thing to offer us because IMF in their era froze employment, council, nurses, teacher, blah 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 allowance free bang bang na dia sa na dia chi. Komlavi Amuzuvi. Also, good morning, sir. Please, seriously, we don't support the e-levy. This government is. We don't support the e-levy. This government is sucking us in the country. Augustine Ventures. Also, I love how Okansi explain things. Long live Okansi. Long live me too. Okay, and a long live Wunso. Aha. Davis Dazi also what happened to Commander Sugar Factory? Leadership is the problem of Ghana. Zala Anan also it's so sad how our leaders are managing this country. All they think about is their pocket. God help us. Edward Into say please Agya, we are the problem about Ghana, we are the problem about the tax. No better data for Ghanaians. Are you? Great fatigue or say someone say could you believe even the paper we used to print our passports is made from Germany? Toothpick is not made in Ghana. You didn't know not made in Ghana. And the people their passports made in Germany and young one. Yeah, Bekrana. Mammy, share, but Mammy shall say through also. As I said, now say, Bayer Busway Bakum Pentamuni, yet no criminal abuloni. Now so Captain Smart, Yabafano, Cobra Bubi and Sandy, the latest. When put you a sepa, a branty, Thompson. Aha, and a fee, Banier. Oh no so anti womudin kura ewa ha producer me da se womudin ewa ha Ernest Thompson Mesa Thompson Asepa Captain Smart ono ayo Unua FM Bobi Ansa Accra FM and afi banie die ono de oda afiase na otwe mienu yen hwe wo hwe nyina so mu gina asonti a omode kansa ye de atwe mo ason ya criminal aspects of libel no I'm saying yes here free ho civil aspect na ewo ho wo mo samo mo kan no is there any criminality ewo wo mo samo mo kan ye ni mu ai no tie gina so e de a convict wo mo no eno ye 1 2 wo mo kan Mr. Thompson ye kan ye it's like the president's nkwada and ma ade yen president's jet no akoy shop amani na ye force news nti bra o hu ye no or retract esa me pa chew but still na no achi no who jetting some bania dey say or no kind just after the election and no yes our voice say you know and so can someone am say ko wi achire no yehu wam chi ne yehu saa nam se chew pa bi ba mu se dan yo na asam no ewu ye bobi asa de okan ye o se yese ye first lady ene second lady akọ grabo sase bi wo hifa ene se wodo bi nom so kasa du echi se de amafo kan if you able to so what titi sansem nyina is there any criminal aspect of some amaka yeti ene ya chi omu ene de kaka ho
okay most of the cases are court I will hesitate to pronounce on them, but I would read the law.
Yes, you be so bania de no crime, no crime ya can we. Bania de ya can we intina no you betumi you so no for as a case study.
The medical can say emrakunu no again article 21 guarantees freedom of speech. Okay. And ne foundation no na sebo no. Say ebe hu say integral in democracy no a freedom of speech.
Yes.
Sebi the freedom of speech and freedom of media can be bad or can be good, but the absence of freedom of speech is bad, and that's very categorical. Freedom of speech and the freedom of the media can be bad, can be good, but say you need for hudia de kasa near the word freedom of media, it is only bad. There is no option. The nature of democracy, right on the fact that also Obia has a civil liberty to with respect and with due deference to the next person. Absolutely. And Breno, I also say Article 21 borrows from international, what we call the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, where it guarantees the idea, say, we are seeing the conversation on human rights has evolved to a place, even in the Convention for Civil and Political Rights, and I'm sure I said Dr. Waha, there's a clear declaration, say, we are seeing say, Bianco, Obia Crabo, and Shaniyem, Obia the right to say as he wills. Repealing the libel law basically meant, say, if I felt that it defames me, I have a right in civil law. You've defamed me. So these are the punishment. So for the purposes of libel, you could not be criminalized. But there is also some publication of false news, yes. Which is most of the cases we are seeing now. I've read articles and opinions where people are suggesting that we should amend that portion of the criminal code, because then amount for use and also for the powers of the state. But as I may make a pronouncement on that, I want to share. This is very academic, which is the Stanford Prison Research. It happened in the 73. Dr. Bia, a psychologist, actually volunteers, and no name for prisoners, no name for prison guards. And now also a 2 weeks experiment. No, I heard your more to me, no more prisoners. No, say the perception of power will change anything. A Jacob now research no no muchemu. In that day, now volunteers at 2 a.m. The prison guards went and abused the power they had on the prisoners who they knew were as much volunteers as them. The point I'm trying to make is that this psychological research in 1973 was very foundational in the to me, because power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It taught us, and I tell you, BB war, the to me, and whether it's the media, no, many to me, no, and I say it's executives through the arms of the police, what they will do with that power. And so the counterbalancing effect is extremely important. Sebi, media no to me, no our platform now, or back and your PBR, then what's the recourse? Always, if they built enough ABR, the business, media house, or the Neko quarter, he can probably come to court over and over again and hire the best of lawyers. Because now any recourse to him. And see, I say, Sebi, making an election between the devil and the deep blue sea, I can't know. and I say obronsam ne insubunani then I obey. But I will carefully make an election and say guaranteeing the rights of media without hesitation is a far lesser evil. Giving the power to the first estate and the realm of the media, in order to scrutinize the freedom of expression without any perception of inhibition, no, I think it's a lesser of an evil than say we will consolidate power in the traditional arms of government without the liberty to speak. Because what I can say if we don't have the liberty of expression, in common way I think that liberty and freedom of expression should be so fundamental. Even at the risk of people erring, no, I would choose that liberty. That does not mean for publication of false news. Now publishing false news. Now say you're being prosecuted. It does not mean say Emrano is not wrong. The philosophy of Emrano is one thing. Say because and that's the one Emrano mu there. Yen frame am come for. But say publishing false news. Now Emrano say false news no a crime. Then you must be subject to the tenets of the law. In terms of the powers, should we mandate the freedom to the point that the risk of even the abuse of that freedom, should we warrant that? I would say that is a lesser evil compared to say you become freedom of speech and now we will intimidate people to speak their mind. But in that sense, once the media has the freedom, they should still be guided by the responsibility that freedom comes with. There's a right in civil law. If we need to have a conversation about taking some of the remnants of the law out, we can have that conversation. But once you publish false news, there is a course our police and prosecutors can also take you through.
Okay. Me da say Yalilu ebinom ka say obi ejin fun so tuma I think say it's better say wajin fun so tuma say no ano no pa ho che na nke no ano ye hwe na nka bibia tumtwa na so bi wajin fun so tuma pa che we na san ehwe na so na ka me say ehunahuna ne atata bi wo hwe ne ma ba ko bi no bi say bi e ko na ebinom ye nya adwen bi say e bi a ye kasa bo ahye yeyam obi ntumi nya kokoduro enkasa saa bere a ye wo mu yi etitiru pa ne say ye mampani o wadwam yi obi a o gina pintin say obi a tumi nya ho kwan ekasa wo bra ye ntata no na abrɛ so eso bi ka ba ko bi no bi say bi a ususu say e bi a enya mra kwan so a ye twe ne nyaa no ugiri say ye betuma ye bibi e ma tension ya e build ba no enkofo country ye ntumi nya bibi mfanfa ho
Midasi, enukre, I least expect say enka near ekoso, but making reference to free speech and as criminalizing free speech, you know, be near ekoso no at least expect enka besi ewo ye o man penny ne abreso because Rebecca ya during Andakufo na one ye Attorney General, one ye lead say decriminalize free speech. Inti sa libel law now omoye you know on na lead here. And I think that is a history because of the experience of the past, no. And no, because for most of them, no, no, they live with it, they suffered some of those things. And no, almost said no, it is not good. People should be given the opportunity to speak up. And this is what the Emra and yeah, accepted democracy, no, liberal democracy, meaning freedoms. Freedoms say idea. Here, without it, we need to define a democracy, limiting it to say, because kabi free speech. So, and you know, the point is say, you can be a self, you can freedom, you should have the freedom to speak anyhow. But there are other laws, and can civil action be, and can take here, and can say, no, because me publish it be against another person. That's what Nippon feel say be in sema wokano enye nokure e be wa defame wa. I think that person should have the opportunity to obey to me rather than say be nka police for na be ba say be chi obi say say me ma publish bibi okay against who a private person. So who a private person ma publish bibi against who na police do so ba ba ho investigation prosecute me incident. Why won't that person take civil action against me? Me imagine no. So even though me nua etwen ya adwen eba some other body of law bia, but I know what kind of the philosophy behind no and na e was ye hunti no wo share that philosophy na wo share the at the international level no or the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So freedom so no key Oba regional African, if you African Charter of Human and People's Rights, freedoms are supposed to be guaranteed, and state parties are supposed to develop almost systems within that. Yes, we agree. Say yes, freedom ends at where another person's but the point is about criminalizing speech, and then a problem. No, say yeah, or kasa at the time now we have Attorney General. Who say no. It is not a offense. I was saying, yeah, movie a democracy forward. Then criminalizing speech should not be an option for us. So we should repeal it. So when we say, even if there is even a body, if you publish falsehood, once that philosophy, once that idea, believe no, I think say that sometimes you need to ignore and then maybe advise those that have been defamed or in a way to take civil action against them. I think for me, no, a bit to me.
Yes. Police for na be mu no. Ene okwan bia e kofa so kra de fa wo mo no. Eno na ususu say enye. Esan say the omo kan no is not against the state per se. And I say bia ebinum the omo kan no is not against the state per se. Yes. It's against individuals. Yes,
like to say Bobie or the same crap Bobie answer dey. You say or say the wife of the president and the vice and answer is say omo granted some land and I say BBAU so and that is it. So if that is this allegation on here or publishing for me in my view is against private people. So those private people should take up the matter at the civil level rather than bringing in the police to come and investigate. Yes, naturally say yes we are tata. If I saying media for say more or and it is going to continue looking at the situation. So because within 1 month, I think about 4 cases in Abe. So it's possible to say other. So for me, no, that behind now decriminalize it. If I say that criminal libel, I am free mono. That idea no should still be a inanka was say even if there is a particular law be still anyway they should have been silent on it and then advise those people who now feel say what publishing be take a civil action against the person and then you iron it out rather than bringing in the police. So the police now is a person who tata media for some more and also because democracy wouldn't mean your friends and media for omajuma and free my and a free speech so no idea here. And I can say even though say wouldn't me free speech doesn't mean so bit me I can't there are other laws. There are other mechanisms, actions be to me ateki so obi ekabibina say who feel say are affecting in a way you have that. But for me bringing in the police, and I think that we should stop this and then so that we should be forward looking. Okay, they didn't take the criminal libel aspect from me for just for fun. Okay, so say they did it for a purpose, and that purpose is still important for us today. So if you are bringing in, if you are going to use some other laws, then you are defeating the position, the idea behind now. More criminal libel, actually, say, we are still going back. So I think that is not a good thing.
That's it. Francis Appiah said, as a country, we cannot allow some journalists to hide behind microjournalism to publish fake news in favor of opposition parties, okay? Freedom of speech does not mean of freedom of insult and forced publication to defame and tarnish image of some people. Okay, I'm Ukanda in Germany. Game Boy GH was a master. These same MPP people insulted Professor Moss, say many things against John Mahama, but nobody was jailed. Why now? Why not they are using power of state to gag all the loud voices? Well. Ben Kobe, please take some part to speak. Why? we beg. Sana na do dan kwaku fado. I can't brofo de other day sir. Oh, bra, are you sure? Yeah. Bro, yeah, sorry. Would you say a gradual in a creative tension be? And the international community are watching Ghana House here, Shentino. You between be a man.
I mean, Bisa was saying, Jacob,
yes, sir.
We are called for.
Debbie.
Unim says a question, Bisa, a bit me the Sutraba. Unim, Casa or Casa. Unim, I saw him into draft. Yet, Tony see, I say, to Unim, Casa and you. Kasa wonti enti esi mo hene nkoto draft no one quick kasa ni ya onim so obi bisa obi hu na esi o se kronfo pa woni beje kasa keko se me ka wo se enye se wo ye kronfo wo ye enye wo se kronfo pa ni bu betu be fu mo twa me kick me enso tie mi o me se bisa ne se wo se sofo pa wo se osere o me nya sofo wo se mienu na me use wo se we hu enti kasa wo ye ma me kasa mbi. We've not learned as a country. We have not learned. Omo Kasano, they spoke about the culture of silence. Baby aye fiba no. So ka say mrebe twem na culture of silence. Oka adepa ye obeji sotoro. Oka bone so a no so obetimi agi sotoro. Culture of silence na ye de to ho na libel law ni ama nyina ebe mu. Na kayen ko hwe ye nua no so de ne so e. Rwanda. Journalists o ka asem keke. Aho so di ago so one friend di ago. So on the omko wiye nti my family na kira said there may kira say freedom of speech it must come with responsibility and we should know say the legal implications be benam na so ma menche mu mienu ye wo speech na wa ma no e betimi atwi nipa ba ko pe individual personal said legal person kan yi na ye wo group there so group there no ye wo nchiche mbese miensa u betimi akati a tribe religion and social grouping bi uko enim ko betimi akotwi national issue bi say wako security national security assembly na no akoye waka ku asem na bibia na uka bibi sa eno ye security implication eno so wo ho ebetimi abakra se continental race wetimi akaka se bia ebetwa fa a whole continent o na say before the omunyansa saka sa no nko a wo kan ye no wo de twi a whole race of people continent wo twa mu nyina agum na onim se nsem ni besi a na ye nwa ekukuda me fo eken se approach no na ebe kire o wo be ha me ne o me yo se kwase ha fioko mama kan say den be ka kire no mama me you sambo unya na say we nyi chen o wa beti mu aduru chen o esisa pe be ka kire mama enti uba amanyo egwa soro ho so a police wo ho wakoka enti uba say individual a okoka che police okoka police ni be invite o say ye hwe esamadem say wan ka say threat say we are me djwa sikan bia ene ye threat eno de eno wo soro kakra je de say police be foul na o chi na bi ya nkoti asembone inte no wo ho ene wo de ne space time bi eno ye inye ana we kronfo waka bi aten defamation o kan ye no na police be fra say bra na omo fra say bra na wo so ne omo ye konana de na ono ma betu aye den e ba be foul na yenko yenim na ukoye say ukokan national issue bi a na say o man paying for car ye ba no ubo say fiti rollins aben so e wo car rollins yere de jacuzzi me bo a ye ko say hotel de wa president kufo no so na otumi obetumi de etwetwe obi professor no so je ne de ye say o ege e no so ye say ye chi na so de bi munya no nko omu nyina omu hwe eman ni mu niama bi mu na omu ye den e say o cha no nko ubo say we ba na o ka say ye nya no ye nko a sa niama na omu kaka mama de say DKM ne yere dia e ka kodu ene ko wiem na sa ne amanya e be ka ma obuefu enso se a wo be handle no eno so kan wo se e fe emotional intelligence of that security forces no se o be o madwuma no ya me nka ma o man penyin ba mu nka ne ye to de bi so a e be operatives na o mu ye bibi na penyin no se o mu ye adwuma nti ahwe o mu adwuma ahode na o mu de aiden akopa nkrofo we ye hwe mu ye dinkita wo ye nko akire na hwe mu ye na emu pa American say the ruling say chama nya be makai and the court say we ya obi o say national security asemu say o kai na ade entoko bi be ba and the udiko to court to see a emre bia o hwe bia obuku we mu omo be kom akobu no bo say udi for ana udi bim ni yakohwe mass education hu hia asema ye bo nkomo nyina no ese ye di hu nkomo na Sambia me bo masa bombi National Commission for Civic Education masa bo Ministry of Information sankofo bia nya omo church team am for say kasa ade bi a edi nhyira betumi aba betumi di dum yeso aba and odi kokromoti edi wusa se enim ko ahemfi a oje den
so de di akwan
bibi mu kaka I think it's important o can say bibi wo a o kasa police betumi invite you I think say on a private level no say we am bonia if it's not criminalized I have a right to go to court directly without involving the police.
Right.
And that's important because yeti no ase the remedies for defamation is private law and a civil law and yet criminal law. Involving the police and the state agents, then almost becomes like an abuse of power. I think that
Madam Wasiano pay papa ya sompa or a legal practitioner and a financial expert or no share space to one if you are in contact.
Space no me say nyef no.
And I Dr. Abdul Jalilu Adeku on no space so I share. I share the internet. Or your lecture Department of Political Science, University of Ghana. Next time we bob be share one shall me money be. I mean they no say the ehun rough. And Jeffrey Kabute Kamiaka Kabuki
minya ba
onya ba achele Kabuki Jane
le enye Togo
Jeffrey Kabute Ukansi oye Executive Director Revenue Mobilization Africa meda mwasipa se munya abreba ye ene anope nyankopo hira mo papa wa hwa me so meda osenamom ene Nana ya mafuwa we a freight forwarder ewo Lilac Logistics Advanced Cargo Village ene eyewa woda much love from Abigail Ashley and the entire Despite group enti nana ya mafuwa ene eyewa woda happy birthday and na me cameraman who fanso say me kan kire kwaku miriku nyampon of Obatampa Radio e ka soa we say also ene eyewa hoda from Ahofe aka Jacob aka Ahofe nanimu se kaka mutobi midi ede Agya Kwabena bena masesa munya abre ehwe yen yenya akopon ye hwa nya akopon ye adoma da se ne ye besen hye na mu na saba kopena me se be ka kire yesi sabu asemufi dwo a na bo akraman onya babi edini tito medinarika beto mano na mafamano anka boni bi enti sa wo kasa sone so sense dia wo ka no ewo bi na so ye de 2 minutes ba wo a memfa 2 minutes say sense 2 wo hoi ye ni nka so adomdom ye a da se na ye be hia yakram